What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Damon. This is Jim, Eric, and Roth.
What's up?
Lady and gentlemen, another Comic-Con is upon us. We've got a great show planned for you. Here's how this is all going to work. Today, tomorrow, and Saturday, we are live streaming Comic-Con to you from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific each day. So plan to spend your afternoons with us. We've got all sorts of guests and celebrities planned. We're going to be coming up here to tell us about their upcoming movies, TV shows, comics, and more. It's going to be great. Pop some popcorn, light your favorite scented candle.
Get a few drinks.
You can be a part of the show too. Just tweet your questions at IGN with hashtag IGN Live, and we'll be answering them here on the show right before your very eyes as we move along. Let's take a quick look at the schedule that we have coming up, some of the upcoming events and topics we're going to be discussing in just a few moments.
Live stream.
There it is. Yeah, we have games here at Comic-Con too. We're going to be taking a look at Super Mario Maker. We're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. We got that new Hitman movie coming on the show later. Even Hitman himself is going to be here. We're going to be talking about DC Comics and Batman and the future of Marvel. All this, so much more, is coming up in just a few moments. So,
TikTok.
First of all, let's get the show started. What are we excited about Comic-Con this year?
This year, let's start with, I guess, movie stuff, since that's my bread and butter. Star Wars is going to be here, Force Awakens, maybe some other surprises, maybe Rogue One, maybe something about the new Han Solo movie.
I mean, the timing of them just announcing it this week makes you think they want to acknowledge it in some way.
They've said there isn't going to be another trailer for Force Awakens, right? Haven't they?
There's apparently not until November. They do have D23. Disney has that coming up. Maybe they're trying to kind of hold their powder until then. But there's also, beyond just Star Wars, I mean, there's also Warner Brothers is coming full force with Batman v Superman, maybe a little something from Suicide Squad, but that's not confirmed. And we're expecting probably Justice League will walk out on stage.
We'll probably see them all assembled, no pun intended, with another franchise.
And maybe get another look, a better look at some costumes. We've already seen a few images coming out. We've seen Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, but there's still more heroes to see in their costumes. Cyborg, we might get a look at that.
Flash. Maybe they'll announce casting for Green Lantern, maybe not. There's been a lot of rumors and rumblings about who might be up for the role of Green Lantern. That would be a nice surprise to have them basically take a page from the Marvel playbook and announce the actor at this big fan event.
Mark Ruffalo was rumored but confirmed at Comic-Con. That's when they brought out the entire cast.
And they did the same thing with Evangeline Lilly last year.
Right.
Her. And they so DC probably will take a page out of that book. But there's other comic book stuff too, like the X-Men.
Fox is going to be here with the X-Men and Deadpool. We know for sure Deadpool's coming.
About Deadpool.
And we'll see what else they might bring up. Maybe they do have Assassin's Creed in pre-production. It's going to film this year. Maybe we'll get a little something from that. Maybe just since Fassbender will be here. You know?
I mean, Fox, isn't it like an hour and 45-minute panel too? They got a lot. They must be bringing a lot.
And
Fantastic Four as well.
The Fantastic Four, and they do have that synergy, right? Because you assume that Fassbender is going to be here as he bids farewell with this last X-Men movie of his. Or not.
We know Jennifer Lawrence is here because, Mockingjay, that's their big thing today, is the Mockingjay panel, the final installment in that franchise, their final time coming to Comic-Con. So it's going to be, it's their big farewell to the fans. So we already know J-Laws.
She's here. And then Hugh Jackman, we're also speculating because he's here for Pan.
From Warner Brothers.
So it's we know he's doing Wolverine 3, and there's a lot of rumors about him maybe popping up in Apocalypse and Deadpool. So wouldn't it be nice if he popped up at that Fox panel?
Wouldn't it?
You feel like he will. There's
a
lot of great TV stuff happening at the con this year. I mean, more and more Comic-Con is becoming about TV, really. We've got Game of Thrones here, Walking Dead is here, Arrow, The Flash. 2 Walking Dead. We've got Fear of the Walking Dead too.
Right. So Game of Thrones has a panel?
You
think they'll? announce some casting for
That's
season
the
6?
most you can expect. The thing about Game of Thrones is it always comes here right after they finished airing their season
Right.
and before they started filming their new season. And so they never, it's really always just sort of a celebration, and they, bring out the cast, and it's a fun panel, but it's not giving you a lot of information. I will say, this year, the fact that they've caught up to the books, and for the first time it's a clean slate more than it's ever been, I feel like maybe we'll get more than ever some hints about where we're going, but they're gonna be very careful with what they want to reveal, and maybe some casting.
And there are certain things that they're absolutely not going to say. I mean, there's certain characters that are, will they or won't they return, kind of questions.
You could say you'll know nothing.
You probably will know nothing.
Yeah, I think the casting is something they've done a couple times though. They've held a bunch of the actors that they've cast for the new season, which is about to film, and they'll announce it all at once. And if you know the books, you'll be like, oh, because even though they've caught up to the books, there's some characters they skipped over that we've heard are coming next year.
Yeah, like Sam's dad, right?
Yeah.
Has he been cast yet? No.
Well, again,
we'll probably know.
We might find out tomorrow. Yeah.
Those will be announcements. We've got some great stuff on the live stream itself, not to plug
yeah.
ourselves,
Your
but
own
here we
horn.
are
Go
doing
for it.
that, so we may as well.
Yeah.
Today we've got Elijah Wood is coming in. He's going to talk about The Last Witch Hunter, which is, of course, the Vin Diesel. And speaking of Game of Thrones,
Yep.
Rose Leslie plays the witch.
Yeah.
He's also going to talk about Cooties, which is
The
the
movie,
not just
the
having
actual
cooties,
childhood.
No, he's actually going to talk about Cooties. The disease, the well-known
Very
childhood
serious disease.
Yes, exactly.
No known cure.
Not yet. We're working on it.
We're also going to have the Bryan Cranston.
The Bryan Cranston here for a very different kind of project for Super Mansion, which is a new animated series from the Robot Chicken guys. Seth Green's involved as one of the producers. A bunch of those guys involved, and it looks like just a very fun. And it's always it's funny with Cranston. We all know him first from Malcolm in the Middle.
Right.
Really funny guy, but then he became, oh my God, Walter White Heisenberg, the scary guy. It's like, no, he's a great funny actor as well, and this is him having fun in a very different role.
We also have a couple of special guests on the live stream today of Rupert Friend.
Right.
You know him as Quinn on Homeland, but you'll soon know him as Agent 47 and Hitman Agent 47. He'll be here along with his co-star Hannah Ware, who was actually on our live stream last year for
Returning.
Hitman.
Also for
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that Cranston will do the Cranston mask again? Could he get away with it again? Can we make predictions?
People will be looking.
I think
bet.
now he's got to try something. Maybe he should wear a.
Should wear a Jesse Pinkman.
That's what I was gonna
Yes.
say. Yeah. Jesse Pinkman.
Because I feel like last year, wasn't it? People were like, oh yeah, the
was 2 years
voice is
ago.
it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The voice isn't quite right.
Yeah.
You almost
Or
got
just
it
wear the
right.
full hazmat suit, you know?
Yeah.
We'll see, yeah. But I also say, by the way, another big, this is a huge year again for DCTV. I mean, they keep
DCTV,
growing that world.
They have 3 shows now? Is there
More than, I mean,
than
it's
that?
like, well,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
the 3 that
'cause
are interconnected.
And then there's Supergirl.
And then there's
also.
Supergirl, which is the same producers, and everyone always wonders, will they eventually get to do a crossover? Gotham's coming back, and then beyond that, of course, there's like iZombie, which is Vertigo, and Lucifer, which is Vertigo. On Saturday night, they are once again, second year in a row, doing like a big 3-hour, I think. I don't think it's 4 hours, but 3-hour event for Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and Gotham.
Wow.
And we will have some of those folks right here to talk. You can tweet your questions for them if you have some Flash, Arrow, Supergirl.
And
iZombie.
there's a double dose of the Antichrist this year at Comic-Con between Lucifer and Damien.
And
Satan
then-
is very hot
and
right
then
now.
If you're
I
into
believe the
Satanism, this is the
actual
con for you this year.
Antichrist is
Yeah.
also.
Yes. We will have the devil himself.
What about Heroes Reborn? Does that have a big presence?
No,
here?
it's that big presence actually. I mean, NBC. It's interesting because Heroes. This is kind of where Heroes first became a big thing. I remember being at the very first Heroes panel actually, which was in a smaller room, but they showed the whole pilot. And at one point was so big that it was in Hall H at its heyday. So yeah, Heroes Reborn. Here, we're talking to Zachary Levi today. We're talking to some other Heroes people later in the weekend. Right outside, right across the street from where we're filming this, they have a huge outdoor presence for Heroes Reborn.
I think they have like an experience across the street.
Yeah,
whole
I think you
Heroes
can like
Reborn.
make yourself into a hero. Like they kind of turn you into a GIF with powers. And then they're going to have a big panel on Sunday as well.
It's crazy to think how far things have come because when Heroes was on the air, it was this big risk, to be kind of doing a show that was based on superheroes, and certainly they took a unique approach in that great first season. it's interesting to see how much has changed and how
Yeah.
just DC.
Yeah.
And then we've also got Marvel
Oh
here.
yeah, Heroes is now returning into a world where there's a lot of shows with people with
Yeah.
powers. So it's, yeah.
And Marvel is actually here, Marvel TV.
Yeah,
We've
Marvel
got
TV.
Agents of
We
S.H.I.E.L.D..
should. Good point. We should reiterate to fans that Marvel Studios themselves
Yeah.
is sitting out Comic-Con this
Right.
year. Fox is, I believe, 20th Century Fox has their basically what would have been the Marvel slot on
Right,
Saturday,
right.
the day ender showstopper. They hope, So Saturday will start with Warner's and Batman and end with X-Men.
Yeah, but yeah, there's so Marvel TV though. Yeah, they're going to do a big panel for Shield and Agent Carter together. Not the Netflix stuff. They're waiting on that.
That's a New York Comic-Con.
Well, they
thing,
came
right?
to New York Comic Con last year. We're guessing they're going to do that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, Agent Carter and Shield will have a panel together. Again, it's an interesting thing. This year, Comic Con is a little earlier than usual, so most of these shows haven't started filming it yet. Usually, they'd have at least a little clips to show, but this time a lot won't. But I think for that reason, they'll really want to make sure to deliver some, if not casting announcements, some character announcements.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, like, oh, this season on Shield, we're going to bring in this character from
And
Marvel.
some teases
Yeah.
about, in terms of Agent Carter, we know, of course. By the way, I am cosplaying as Peggy Carter in the blonde wig, and no one's gotten it. And it's really disappointing. So
I
just
should
so
shave
you
this
know-
off and just go as Howard Stark.
Yes. It's a deep cut. It was
Yeah.
just like one episode, but still, that's what's happening. We have James Darcy here, and I'm sure we know that they're moving the location to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be able to tease a little bit about sort of how that's going to impact the show, what the relationships are going to be like. That's what we hope.
Yeah.
That they're going to be able to tease us with a little bit about what's coming next
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, get some of the same goes for Arrow Flash. They haven't started filming yet, but I think they'll come armed with some info for us.
Come on.
What about Tarantino's Hateful Eight? Are they
Yes,
doing a panel for that?
that is Saturday, if memory serves. Saturday.
I think so, yes.
And that is another big one. Tarantino will be here. Several of the cast will be here. We're expecting Kurt Russell, and I'm not sure if Sam Jackson is actually on the list. He might be filming, but Walt Goggins is
Yep.
going to be there, and I think Tim Roth as well, and probably Michael Madsen. So yeah, Hateful Eight, good call on that one. That one I'm really stoked for.
Oh, yeah.
And that made our 5 movie panels.
Yeah.
We're
Has
stoked
Quentin
for.
come here before?
Quentin, yeah, he was
Surely
here.
he has.
He was here
Oh.
Kill
for.
Bill.
Yeah, he was just here. I want to say he was just here a couple of years ago.
I bet you he would walk the floor without a mask. I bet you he
God,
would.
yeah.
It would be crazy for him
Yeah.
to do that,
Yeah.
but I bet you he would do
He might.
it.
He might. Yeah.
And isn't Ash in Evil Dead as also?
Oh, Ash
Oh,
versus
yeah.
Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually that's Friday night. They actually have a very cool booth. It's Ash's trailer where he's living in the new show. Rundown trailer. And there's inside. You can put your hand inside the chainsaw and do like a photo experience.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
They're going to be here.
Yeah, they're
That's
going to
cool.
be here, and they're going to have a big panel. And I think people really are excited about this. It's such a popular character. Bruce Campbell has also done such a great job of becoming part of this culture. He does so many conventions appearances, and if you've never seen a Bruce Campbell panel, it's genius. He really works the crowd, has fun with them, is sarcastic when you want him to be sarcastic, and I think him back as that character, it's going to be very big crowd pleaser.
That's a big dream come true.
Speaking of
for
the
him.
convention experience, Con Man, which is
That's right.
Con Man, which is the Nathan Fillion / Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk created the show,
Yeah.
which is basically about an actor who frequents the con scene. That's going to
Yeah.
be here as well. It's a web series. I'm really looking. I love.
That sounds awesome. I didn't
Right?
even know about
Yeah.
that show. That
Yeah,
sounds great.
they're going to be here with us too, and I just think that's going to be the funniest series.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
So we actually have a question from Twitter here. Remember, you can tweet your questions at IGN with hashtag IGN Live, just like Chris did, who asked, what crazy cosplay do you want to see from the show floor? I've already seen some crazy
Well,
photos
I mean,
coming in.
I guess I saw Mary Marvel walk by earlier. That was pretty impressive. But I'd have to say I'm curious with the Suicide Squad movie and all the images that have come out. Will we see anybody as like the Jared Leto Joker right down to the
Killer
damage
Croc?
tattoo,
Yeah.
or Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
So I'm curious if we're gonna if the cosplayers have been able to turn it around that quickly.
I bet they have. I mean, we've already seen Force Awakens Stormtroopers back at Celebration, and I'm sure they're here too. But I will say, when I saw Mad Max Fury Road, I think I even tweeted, like, this movie is a gift for cosplayers.
There's so much in
there's
there.
got to be some Furiosas wandering
that's
around.
commitment, though. You're gonna
And some of
shave
them
your
just
head.
cut their arm off.
They
you
just
know?
fully
right,
just
Skype.
cut the arm
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah. Last year I saw a lady who was dressed as a TARDIS. That was amazing. She had like it was so committed. It wasn't just a dress of the TARDIS. She was a TARDIS with her head sticking out.
And what I like is when people do things that you wouldn't necessarily expect, like the first thing you think cosplay, Comic-Con, but like Caitlin, someone I know who's into cosplay, she's here as Kimmy Schmidt today. And there's like people like that that are kind of like, thinking outside the box.
And I know it's not quite cosplay, but if you go to the DC booth on the floor, they have the Batman v Superman outfits of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So go check that out.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with more from Comic-Con Live here at IGN.
What's up, guys? Max Scoville here.
Hi.
This is Brian Altano.
Hi.
And that one right there is Marty Sleva.
Hello. Beyond.
We are
Beyond.
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 We're here
Beyond.
on the balcony outside San Diego Comic-Con. This is I really like this because you get a sense of actually what's happening behind us. There's a ton of people running around. Some of them are dressed like sharks. Some are dressed like bananas.
Others
a
yelled
lot
at
more
us.
Dressed like superheroes.
Yeah.
There are, in fact, a lot of games at Comic-Con for us to talk about. You guys have probably seen more games up close and personal than I have.
Yeah, honestly.
Talk about them a little bit.
Last night, Brian and I roamed the show floor and played a bunch of games. Honestly, I think the company so far with the biggest presence here has been Nintendo.
Yeah.
They had an entire lounge set up with a lot of the games they showed off at E3, but they showed off some new stuff. And personally for me, Mario Maker was the really cool
Mario
thing.
Maker is definitely their big one. It's got a huge presence on the show floor, and there's also, they took out an entire separate area where there's even more Mario Maker.
Yeah.
So we got to play lots of it. The cool thing that you got to try out was you got to play the levels that were actually at the Nintendo World Championships. How'd you do?
It turns out I'm not as good as those guys. I'm really
Those
not
guys
very good
are
at those guys.
good at
yeah.
the game.
You're not as good as the top two video game players in the
No,
world?
it turns out that's not one of the prerequisites for working at IGN. The games are insane, though. The levels are absolutely crazy. Those levels sort of showcase just how masochistic you can be when you're creating these things and sadistic. And I don't know, it showcased just also the breadth of the creative tools in the game.
Yeah.
Like just how weird things can get.
Did you get a chance to play with the actual creation?
Yeah,
stuff
I
at all?
did, which is really cool. They only had 2 tiers of things available, and there's I think 5 or 6 tiers total. So I got to play with less than half of the tools. But honestly, the way you can swap between the original Super Mario Brothers and Mario World doesn't just affect the game aesthetically, but it affects the controls.
Right.
Like the original Mario has that very specific inertia, whereas in New Super Mario Brothers you can wall jump. So it's going to change how levels actually play out, which is really cool.
Yeah, we saw some really cool stuff. There's a Zelda level that was based on the temple from Zelda 2, which is what? I didn't even think of anything like
and
that.
And then you're able to palette swap your characters and become Wii Fit Trainer and stuff. It's just really weird. And honestly, in terms of to me, that's one of the first really big games of fall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, before we move on to the next thing, I want to remind you guys that we are following all your questions on Twitter. Just tweet at IGN. Use the hashtag IGN Live. Somebody just shouted at
Someone
you.
someone's
Tried
yelling
to
at
tweet
us.
at you.
I owe that person
It's very
money.
distracting. We're working. Come on. Anyway, what else you guys see? There's also Mega Man stuff going on.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Mega Man Legacy Collection, which is super cool. Yeah, I mean, we got to see that. That's it's Mega Man 1 through 6, which some people are going to be like, oh man, that's kind of a bummer that the first 9 aren't there. But what they really did with those games is like completely preserve the games, like pixel perfect, the originals.
Yeah, this to me feels like the sort of I feel like the collection we got on the GameCube and the PS2 was kind of there. It had some issues, but this is now they've rebuilt an entire new engine that preserves NES games, which is kind of really exciting, even just outside of this. This is the kind of thing they could possibly even license to anyone else who made Nintendo games.
Really important. And I mean, the conservation of older games is kind of like something that people don't really do.
Yeah,
and when we see like digital versions, frequently it's just emulations. So
yes, exactly. And they're sort of billing this as the Criterion Collection of video games, which seems like it could be a little pompous or arrogant, but when we see like the breadth of concept art and music and everything that's in there, that this really is sort of an important step forward in terms of where like video game preservation can go.
Yeah.
What else did we check out? Anything else?
Yeah, we played some more Zelda Triforce Heroes.
We did, which is actually a
how was that? Like, I'm really curious about this because this is a game that I like. I mean, it's a co-op. It's kind of a 4 swords thing, but it's
3 swords.
So I think the 3 of us need to play it together, like 100%. It's one of those things where I think if you play online, you're kind of going to have mixed results. It's definitely heavy on communication. I think it's very important to have that in the room. It's also pretty hard, which I was really surprised to find. It's got these kind of spikes and challenge that really go with how well or how poorly you communicate with your friends.
Yeah. And at the beginning of a level, you sort of, the 3 of you each choose a single weapon to take, or like ability to take in. So someone had the ability to blow wind, whereas the old blow wind ability. Whereas I had the bombs, so I'm the only one with the bombs. And when we split up, we sort of have to figure out, well, how do I use my bombs and how do I get them over to Brian so he could blow something out?
Yeah, you get a lot of weird conversations like that, right?
A lot of wind blowing.
Hey, wind, like blow me over there. It's weird, but that's part of the game.
This is. I mean, you guys are playing all sitting next to each other. Yeah. I mean, is this a thing you can play like online proper?
It's going to be, dude. Honestly, it's going to be tough. Like, there's emotes you can hit, but like, unless you're Skyping with people, there's not going to be voice chat. I don't think.
Yeah. They do some stuff that kind of makes it easier to find where the other players are. So all you have to do is hold down on any other link, and you'll see where he is in the game. So it's interesting. I think that'll be a good solution, but we'll see. This is going to depend on how many temples are in there and how much there is to do. Because there's not much in the way of overworld stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I know you guys at home, you have some questions, and luckily we have answers. Comic-Con answers brought to you by Marvel's Ant-Man. Do you get it? Answers? Yes! That's the one right there. Anyway, like I said, you can tweet these at us at IGN. Use the hashtag IGN Live. Given the creative community and tools available in Mario Maker going forward, how will this affect the innovation of 2D Mario games? That's from Andy Monaghan.
Good question.
Monahan.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
That's actually my main sort of, like, it's the gift and the curse of all this, right? It's that we'll get Mario games forever, but I don't know what it means next for Nintendo. I think for them, they'll probably retire the new Super Mario art style. They'll get away from the original sprite-based stuff, and they'll have to do something brand new and next, so we'll see what happens.
How cool would it be to see, like, maybe a third-party developed hand-drawn Mario?
See, that's really cool. I like the idea of that. I also like the idea that there is a creator, like someone out there starts making really rad, gnarly levels, and Nintendo plucks them.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you want, we know there's been modders for FPSs that have, like Steve Gaynor, who made Gone Home, like started off modding games.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he got hired to make games. So, I don't know, that could be really cool for sort of crowdsourcing really amazing talent.
Yeah, and it sounds like Nintendo's kind of interested in possibly, I mean, they're open to having creators who are on a more professional level too. Try stuff out too. So I'd love to see, somebody like Inafune try his hand at making a Mario Maker level. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see like a death of 2D Mario games by any
means.
means.
Absolutely.
This isn't like the kind of like, well, it's been fun. Here, it's up to you guys now. I think if anything, this means we're probably going to see like a new 3D one.
See, I mean that would be an awesome sort of blessing in disguise for taking a few years break off of a 2D Mario's, is that we get Galaxy 3.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Good compromise.
Cool. Anyway, good question. Thank you guys for watching. We are doing plenty of Comic-Con stuff as we continue forward through Comic-Con. So keep it right here, and we will see you guys real soon.
Hey guys, Eric here. We're at Comic-Con. There's so much going on. You guys, Zach, David, you got a ton going on. I feel like at this point you're like the princes of Comic-Con, right? With Nerd HQ.
I would say barons.
Barons, okay.
Lords, if you will.
Yeah.
Dukes of no, but it's insane. It's insane. We're in year 5 of Nerd HQ. Our little engine that we started 5 years ago. We started the Nerd Machine, our kind of our lifestyle brand for nerd culture, if you will, and then trying to activate that brand and get people through the doors and buy some merch and all that stuff. We're like, well, let's just give people something awesome, and that's where Nerd HQ came out of. And a lot of things that we just kind of felt like we wanted fans and celebrities to have a little oasis where they could connect together in a safe and respectful place, and then also give people free video games and technology to play with, and come charge your phone, come have a dance party every night because we're gluttons for punishment. And our Conversations for a Cause, which are our panels, which are really intimate and have basically all sold out already. I think we're doing like 34 this year, which is
more than 30, which is the most we've ever done.
The most we've ever done, and having awesome partners like IGN who are going to stream all of our panels. So thank you. We're super excited about it.
No, we are too. Yeah, you can watch all of the Nerd HQ panels on IGN or IGN's YouTube channel. As Zach was saying, you guys, Comic-Con's great. These huge panels are great, but you have for something else that's great, which is a more intimate, sort of smaller gathering. Can you talk about some of the people you have on this year?
Yeah, I mean, this year we have some great people returning that we've had before, like guys like Nathan Fillion, Joss Whedon, guys from Supernatural, friends from our friends from Robot Chicken,
Stephen Amell,
those
Felicia
guys,
Day,
Felicia. But we also have some new guys like William Shatner.
Like William friggin' Shatner.
Yeah. And stuff like, just having the opportunity to have for fans to just do a complete Q&A for 45 minutes to an hour. It's just something really special, and it's something they can take away with them forever. And I think they find it as one of the most highlights of their weekend when they come down here.
Yeah.
For you guys, what is Comic-Con at this point? Being an elder statesman as myself, what's it like Comic-Con for you? Like, what do you feel the vibe of Comic-Con?
It's weird. I mean, every year's been a little bit different, and I guess all just kind of depending on where I'm at in life or where we're at with the Nerd Machine and stuff. This year feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's nice. When Chuck ended, we were just focused on HQ. I didn't really have anything to do with the convention. Now this year, I'm doing the Heroes Reborn, that stuff right behind us.
Yes.
I'm doing that panel at Hall H. It's my first panel at Hall H, which is. Oh, actually, no, I'm doing another panel at Hall H also this year, the Brave New Warriors panel, I think. It's fun. It's like I get to go over there and be at the mothership and do some of that stuff, and then I'll come back over and, do all of our Nerd HQ stuff. And so it's great. And we, I don't know, we got our little golf carts and we drive around, and people they know us. We see people wearing HQ hats and shirts, or even if they're not, they just go, hey, Dave, hey, Zach. And we're like, hey, how are you? Happy Comic-Con, It's weird. It's like there's... When you've been here long enough, you just kind of, people know you and you know them, and it just feels like that fun weekend that everybody comes back together again once a year.
What's it like for you seeing Comic-Con and Nerd HQ kind of intertwine and become sort of these things that people think of together?
I mean, that's obviously very flattering for us. I mean, obviously this is the mecca of nerddom every year, and we are happy to play a little part that we play and give fans an opportunity to do something maybe a little different, but. We're glad to be down here. We think it's awesome, all the stuff we have this year for people to check out. So we definitely want Star Wars Battlefront from AMD and EA, Sony PS4 Battlefront. We have Sony Morpheus.
Project Morpheus, the VR.
Yeah, that's which is so much fun. So I think all the stuff we have over there going on is just just something different, and they can try something out that they can't do anywhere else. So.
Zach, I have to ask you. You mentioned a little show that right behind us. We happen to have this nice backdrop.
Yeah, Blind Spot.
Blind Spot as well. Jamie's great. Your fellow is Guardian.
Sullivan Stapleton.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's talk Heroes Reborn. What's it like, coming into that universe? Heroes and Chuck used to air on Monday nights together. Does it feel like a weird full circle thing?
It's very kismet-y, heady, but awesome.
Yeah.
I was a fan of the show. Chuck premiered a year after they premiered, and so I was able to watch the first season and a good bit of the second. But then, my work schedule was so intense, I didn't really get to watch beyond that much. But I was always so like, we had such an awesome time making Chuck. But I always had this slight little envy in me of like, they get to fly. Like, I want to fly or teleport or whatever. And I met all those guys, all the whole cast, and Tim, and you know, it was just a great group. And so when it was announced that it was coming back, I immediately went to my team and said, hey, miniseries, great. You know, it's only a 13-episode commitment. A really fun, cool world to play in. Let's go after that. And we did, and they responded in kind, and they liked the idea of me doing it. And we have such a great cast and crew, and you know, it's just a really fun experience. And it's very dark. It's super moody. It's very different than Chuck.
It does. I mean, I've seen some footage at Upfronts. I saw footage. There's been some more. Looks like you might be playing not such a nice guy.
I'm not such a nice guy, man. I'm a tortured man. I'm a tortured man. Let's just say I'm not using a trank gun anymore. I'm using a real one.
That's true.
Yeah.
You seen the darker side of Zach come out?
Well,
yeah,
Dave was our
trank-
on-set prop
yeah.
master on Chuck.
I was there for
so
a long
he was the one handing me my
yeah,
trank gun all the time.
Those trank guns were the bane of my existence for like 3 years.
Right. So now you get to show a different side here. I want to quickly ask you also about a Geeks Who Drink.
Yeah.
About on Sci-Fi. Can you tell what's the
Yeah.
dynamic
So
on that?
well, Geeks Who Drink, they're the most kind of well-known pub trivia circuit in the United States, like 600 bars across the nation or whatever. And Condé Nast licensed the rights to make the television show version of that. They brought it to Kinetic Content, and they brought it to us at the Nerd Machine because they thought, you know what, you guys could kind of crack this thing and really bring the voice and vantage point that we think that we needed. And so we produced a pilot. Dave just kicked ass producing the pilot.
There's a great team in Kinetic and the team they brought in, so we had a
Kinetic
great.
and Condé, yeah. And I was like off in Toronto making Heroes, but and then we made this great pilot, and Sci-Fi picked it up and they said, listen, we really think that you need to be the face of this. It's your baby, and you'll give it life. And I was like, look, I've never hosted a game show before. I'll check it off my bucket list. Let's go.
Right.
And we got great celebrity team captains, other great contestants from the general public that know far more than any of us.
Lots of Comic-Con attendees
Lots of
who are
Comic-Con attendees.
Nice.
And it's super fun. It's a half an hour of trivia and booze, and I'm like a slightly lushy Alex Trebek. You know, it's good.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it premieres July 16th on Sci-Fi at 11 p.m. 10 Central.
Looking forward to
Very
that.
much.
And then lastly, just have to ask you, all we know about Thor Ragnarok is the title Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Do you know anything more?
No, that's all I know. I know that, and that it's, you know, with the release date is, I think, November 2017, which means they're going to shoot it next summer-ish.
Uh-huh.
And maybe I get a call in a few months saying, pack your bags, and maybe I get a call saying, we really enjoyed your work in the last one, and we'll be seeing you. You know, I don't know. I hope that Vandrel, I hope the Warriors 3, Lady Sif, you know, I hope that we all get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But if we're not, then, you know, that's theirs. I'm just along for the ride, you know. But Vandrel is so much fun, man. I mean, it's like this Errol Flynn, Lothario. I get to be blonde and speak with a British accent. I mean, you know, it's fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're going to be back. That's what I'm saying.
I hope so.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. Once again, Nerd HQ, you can find all the panels, IGN or IGN's YouTube channel. These guys are going to be all over Comic-Con, as will we, so stick around here at IGN.
Zang.
I came really close to that. Like I got by this just immense dude when I was in high school, and he like punched me in the top of the head twice. Just really And we are live at Comic-Con. Sorry, can we pick that up? I'm sorry, I just fucked that up. We're live. We're live?
At Comic-Con.
Okay, we're live at Comic-Con 2015, brought to you by the LG G4 phone. I'm Max Scoville. That's Brian Altano.
What's up?
He's never going to let me forget this. We are with Arthur and Matt from TT Games. We're talking about LEGO Avengers. Tell us about LEGO Avengers.
LEGO Avengers is us going back to the Marvel Universe in LEGO form. This time round, we're going through with not only Avengers, the great movie, we're going also with Avengers Age of Ultron. And then we're celebrating Avengers. It's everything that is great about Avengers, from the movies, cartoons, comic books, and we're cramming it into one great video game, aren't we, man?
You kind of already did this with LEGO Marvel Heroes. Like that is an amazing game. I think that was the most time I sunk into a game last year. Was that? It was awesome, and it had so many Marvel Heroes all at once. But there was notably kind of some characters were their comic book version versus the movie version. Yeah. And so are you kind of, is this kind of the Marvel Cinematic Universe type of game?
Yeah, so the big difference between the two LEGO Marvel superheroes was an original story, and then we sort of had different comic book characters and stuff like that. This game is following the story of the cinematic films of the Avengers, and then, as I've sort of alluded to, we're going to have some extra stuff there as well to make fill the character roster out, because everyone loves all the different characters that are put into the LEGO games. And then we'll have some more sort of background comic characters that all tie into the Avengers in it.
Now you had the Guardians of the Galaxy in LEGO Marvel Heroes, but they were very noticeably like different designs from movie versions. Are we going to see any appearances by the movie versions of them in this? Or?
Well, the thing with the Avengers game is, at the minute, the characters we've kind of revealed are from Avengers and from Avengers Age of Ultron. We are going to definitely be celebrating everything Avengers, and then that's where we'll go, and we'll do, movie stuff, and then we'll go digging back in the comics and like really unearthing, those quirky classic characters that myself, Matt, the team, we love unearthing, like randoms, people, creatures that, gamers are just like, really, this is this is a Marvel character, and it's those sort of classic moments, the sort of thing we did with Howard the Duck back in LEGO Marvel Superheroes. Right. So while this isn't a sequel, it's that natural sort of successor.
That's something.
Yeah.
That's something I really appreciate about the LEGO games. Actually, I play all of them. I literally just 100%ed LEGO Jurassic World on my flight to. So I'm super into this, and I do appreciate the fact that it starts off with the sort of central characters, and then the more you start unlocking, you kind of deep dive into side characters, people you just see working in a coffee shop in one of the Avengers movies, possibly. So I was going to ask, is the sort of progression through this game similar to the other LEGO games in that you'll play through a level and there'll be a lot of stuff you can't access, but then going back in as you start unlocking more of those characters gives you kind of more branching areas and things to open up?
Oh yeah, most definitely. This is going to be, we'll obviously have the characters that we can see here, but as you progress through the game and you're unlocking those characters, characters say like Quicksilver, we won't expect to see Quicksilver until his moment in Age of Ultron. But then you're going to be able to go back. Pietro's actually got unique moves and abilities like most of the characters. That's going to allow you to unlock all sorts of hidden stuff, whether it's out in like the open world stuff we've got, or whether it's within the levels. There's a ton of content that's hidden away. That's where we get to kind of exude our geekness.
So what were sort of some of the challenges of taking kind of the more serious moments in the Avengers films and boiling them down to something that's kind of wacky and cartoonish like this?
I think the great thing about the LEGO games is we're able to take the iconic shots that people recognise from the films and then put a twist on them. So, for example, in the level that we're showing here, we're probably not going to see it actually on screen, but towards the end of this, Hulk stops the Leviathan, and he sort of punches it, and the Leviathan comes up like it does in the film, and then he takes a selfie with it. And we can do stuff like that just puts a little twist on it, a bit of LEGO humour. And that's what people love about the LEGO games.
And you've got like the fire over here, it's just the little plastic pieces jutting out.
You've got like the LEGO fire, and then there's the real fire. You got the very realistic fire mixed in with the plastic stuff.
Yeah, we find that like the one hard fast rule we have, other than make the video games fun, is if it's Lego, it's interactive, and that is how the younger gamers go, well, I know what to do. There's some Lego, I have to be able to do something with this Lego. And then the real world stuff is like, well, we'll leave that alone. We know that we can't interact or mess with that stuff. But yeah, in this demo, look, what we've sort of brought to Comic-Con is some new character mechanics. So we've got Quicksilver stuff in there, and it's kind of,
wow,
this
awesome.
is where we have fun with it. We kind of bring these characters to life in a whole new way, trying as best we can to, take what happens in the movies and then pull that, forward into the game. And what we've also done, something we didn't do in the Lego Marvel Superheroes, was allow Tony Stark to change, into his various like Iron Man outfits.
Yeah, there were like what, 5 Lego or Marvel Iron Man ones in the last game.
Yeah, but you had to pick them off the free play grid, and it was something that we thought, well, you know what, this is kind of that next stage. Why don't we let you do that, live? So at any time. So hopefully we'll be able to see that. So there's a few bad guys around. Maybe this is where we could show Quicksilver doing some stuff. He has some great combat, but you'll see here, any time you can go into this Tony Stark sort of HUD.
Oh wow!
And then what happens is each of the suits has a transform that people will recognise from the movies. So who have we got there? I think is that Silver Centurion. So yeah, Mark 33. So that's a cool suit, and there's a lot of love for the Mark 33. But yeah, we've got other suits in there. Black Widow just having a bit of a moment there. We've got other suits in there, like we've got the Mark V, which is from Iron Man 2.
Are we seeing all of them right here? Are there more than just these ones? Or?
There'd be more.
Yeah, he will have more suits than that.
Do you have all the ones that you see in Iron Man 3? There were a lot there. There were a lot of suits.
We will have a lot of suits in here.
Yeah, we have a nondescript number at the minute, but for us, obviously, it's not an Iron Man game. It's like I said, it's a celebration of Avengers. But the team, largely, obviously as designers, we want to put a load of stuff in. But then the team kind of go, yeah, you know what, we want to put stuff in, and that's how these things snowball. People have asked a lot about, who's going to be in the roster? Are you going to be able to beat the last game you worked on? And we always set out to go, yeah, why not? Let's try and one-up ourselves. Let's go for more characters, more abilities, more mechanics, more area, more levels. Let's try and just push the boundaries. That's what gamers want. They want a fun game they can play forever.
Speaking of what gamers want, we've got a question from Twitter, so let's take a look at what they want to ask you. These are the hard-hitting questions here. Chris Fayela says, online co-op.
That's a very interesting question, because the great thing about Lego games is that that's where they really come to life, is the co-op. But for us, we absolutely adore the fact that people can play it together. It brings families together. It brings, someone being able to play with their son or daughter, being able to play with, their brother, sister, nephews, nieces, and that couch co-op, something that I guess, you guys like me, we probably grew up when we were, hammering away on our competition pros, playing speedball, whatever we were doing. It's that sort of thing that gets missed, I think, these days. And so it's something I love this Quicksilver stuff. It's so cool.
Wow.
When I saw this, when the guy that programmed this put this in, I was just like, that is so good. It's just like the movie.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, the co-op stuff, it's about bringing people together. And believe it or not, you get hardcore gamers that just love, playing all the shooting games. They'll actually kick back and relax playing a Lego game with their girlfriend, who may not necessarily play games. A lot of the time it's actually the other way around. But it's that way of people coming together, and we don't want to lose that. We don't want to lose that sort of cooperative experience, that togetherness. So there's not really many games that do that.
It is definitely one of the few games that I feel like it's a kids game that adults appreciate.
Yeah.
And there's other kids game out there, but it can be kind of like a chore for mom or dad to sit on the couch and play it. But Lego's familiar, it's fun.
Yeah, we try and layer up the humour. We want to put jokes in there for anyone, and that's where the fanboy stuff comes in.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
We concentrate on that.
You've got that, and then you've got the slapstick stuff as well that the kids would appreciate as well. So yeah, it is, like I say, trying to make it so there's something there for everyone.
Cool. And do you guys have a release date yet?
At the minute, no, not a specific date as such. It's penned as winter.
Okay.
Winter is coming.
This holiday season, and it's coming to pretty much every basic platform for the most part.
Yeah, you name it. The PS3, 4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, Wii U, PC,
3DS.
Mac, 3DS,
Most of the things
Vita.
that are in the stores that play games. Basically.
Yeah, if you have an electronic device.
Well, awesome.
No Wonder Swan. So sorry about that.
Sorry, Wonder Swan owners. No.
Yeah, if anyone still has one.
Years for a new Wonder Swan game.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming by and showing that off. And there is plenty more to come right here, live at IGN. So stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I am Max, this is Brian, and this is Tommy, Eric, and Gene from KISS.
And we all have sunglasses on.
We had to. You guys started it, and we ripped it off, and now we're just running with it.
You set examples, and we follow them.
That's really the lighting is the.
It's very bright. I mean, you guys kind of set a precedent there.
I think everyone's supposed to dress up as someone at the show, and you're Ace Ventura, so.
I'm more like a 70s cop. I don't know what my thing is.
I think you're like Men in Black.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You're Kojak with stubble.
That's high praise. That's high praise.
high praise.
If you guys are watching at home, you can tweet at us at IGN. Use the hashtag IGN Live. We're going to be taking questions on there. You guys are here to talk about Scooby-Doo and KISS Rock and Roll Mystery.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Go ahead, Tommy.
Go ahead, Gene. You know most about this.
We do very, very few cross-branding things, and we've been around 41 years, longer than even Ace Ventura: Pet Detective has been around. And we're very careful about who we associate with, and Scooby-Doo is iconic. And so for us, it was a no-brainer. When Warner Brothers came to us and said, how'd you like to do a crazy, wacky thing? Immediately, it was like, crazy, wacky, that's our middle name, what is it? KISS meets Scooby-Doo. And despite what it says on the DVD, it's not Scooby-Doo meets KISS. It's KISS meets Scooby-Doo. Come on, sounds better.
Now, this is actually the second time you guys have hung out with Scooby and the gang.
That's right.
You first were on What's New Scooby-Doo, like that was in like 2003, right?
Very good. Before you were born, right?
I'm new to the biz, but this is a full-on like kind of feature-length movie.
Yes, sir.
This is a tour de force, and for those of you that love comic books, you'll see homages to Jim Steranko, obviously Kirby. There's very, very intricate stuff in there. It's a story that meanders left and right. When you think you've got it figured out, all of a sudden the portals of space and time and what could be and what if opens up, and you're off into deep, sort of a wonderland of it all.
This is nuts because it looks like it's full-blown like space mystery. You've got a guitar-shaped spaceship going through portals and stuff. This is kind of a big leap from the typical Scooby-Doo thing of like an abandoned theme park and there's like a janitor who's disgruntled or something. Mm-hmm. Can you talk at all about what's the big hook here? What's the heist? What's the story? What's trying to be solved?
There is a theme park, and our quote manager, who's actually played by Doc McGee, who's actually wanting to break into the acting business. You'll see what I mean when you see this.
Oh, yeah.
Very hammy all the way. Keeps sticking his head in whenever he can. And so we're invited to kind of okay the theme park, which is going to be sort of a KISS world, if you will. And then the fun begins. It's haunted. There's a witch and spells, and then all of a sudden it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You find out that she's fake, but there's a big, there's a sort of a mystery behind the mystery, and the portals of time sort of open up, and we're off into deep space with superpowers and large, sort of planetary-sized dangers, just like in the Fantastic Four, there was Ego, the living planet. Shame on you if you don't know what I'm talking about.
You guys have a long history of being in comics. I mean, there was the original. You guys fought Dr. Doom, for God's sake.
I personally did.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I love
KISS
that.
Comics, I personally beat Dr. Doom. Damn, he turned out to be a robot, and Victor Von Doom was off in, his.
You hung out with Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Mephisto in there.
13 and 14. Mephisto was in our KISS Comics. Howard the Duck was 13, 14. Those two issues.
That's awesome.
Written by Gerber and so on.
So now you're in Scooby-Doo. I have a kind of an issue with Scooby-Doo, and I wanted to ask you guys about this. Every episode of Scooby-Doo sort of starts off with the two main character groups splitting in half. You've got Fred and Daphne and Thelma, and Fred basically goes, I'm going to take the nice ladies, we're going to go sneak off to somewhere safe. And Scooby and Shaggy have to go to the basement where there's cheeseburgers, but there's also ghosts. And that's a kind of a bad trade-off. I feel like Fred's screwing them over here. So where does KISS fit in between these two groups? Who do you side with? Do you want cheeseburgers and ghosts, or do you want women?
I'm a Shaggy guy all the way. Dogs recognize each other. See what I did there?
We had a great time doing this, though, actually making the film. We did all of our own voices in the studio last year, and we had a great time doing it. It was the first time I've ever done something like that.
Really?
Yeah. And we actually put together a song, a unique new song for this that is stuck in there too that people will be surprised to hear as well.
It's like an Easter egg inside of the movie, if you will.
Do you guys want to sing it right now?
No, we can't sing.
No, it's a surprise.
When you guys record for like a cartoon, I mean, clearly you have plenty of experience being in studios and recording stuff, but I mean, it's
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, when I was a child of 4, no, actually, we've done, happy to have been associated with Fairly Odd Parents and The Simpsons and Family Guy and lots of stuff, but only the cool stuff, you know? And for us, it doesn't get more iconic and more cool than Scooby-Doo. And
Scooby's recognized around the world. A lot of people, those that don't know, they might think it's just a American phenomenon of sorts. You know, it's been probably all of us have grown up with it, including our parents or grandparents. But it's really popular all around the world. So it's a world brand, if you will.
yeah. And I mean, it's also, I'd say, one of the more kind of rock and roll friendly cartoons out there. It's a bunch of long hairs in a van, you know, cruising around.
Riding around in a
trouble.
van. I had a van when I was in high school in the '70s. The same thing. So, yeah.
Everybody I've told, you know, we're doing an animated film with Scooby-Doo, they're just like, oh my God, that's so cool, you know. And everybody thinks it's great, and everybody's looking forward to seeing it too. And we saw a preview about 2 months ago at Warner Brothers in Burbank, and it was really well done. We were really impressed and real happy with it.
And great animation. I mean, as far as
Really
cartoons go, the animation is phenomenal.
That's gorgeous. I mean, like it's cool you get to do this. When you do the recording stuff, it's like, is there kind of a mutual like starstruck nature that happens where you're meeting cartoon characters and they're meeting Kiss? Is it like?
no, they're just all fascinated by us.
We're fascinated by Gene.
Actually, with you in particular.
I love the way characters run in Scooby-Doo. Did they make you guys do that, or did you have to? They have
Yeah,
that
we
sort
were
of
running. We had microphones, and we were running around.
And it makes that
in
steel
the
drum
studio.
noise.
Of course we did.
They greased it
we
up and
climbed
they put-
up on the walls like Matrix guys, and
Oh, so you guys actually did motion capture.
we did our own stunts. So when you see
we
us
did everything.
flying through space, that's us doing our own
Nice.
stunts. Yeah.
That's impressive.
I like how they hid the oxygen masks inside your makeup.
Yeah, those are Kiss oxygen masks.
So you guys have actually.
You're breathing Kiss air right now.
Yeah.
When are we not?
I'm honored.
Honestly.
I am honored by that.
So I just wanted to get some before.
You know, I have to tell you quite honestly, on the way over here, I was so excited I was going to ask myself for an autograph.
I mean, just write your name on a piece of paper
Wow,
and put it in your pocket.
somebody
Well,
said,
because
wow.
because nobody else has
Take
asked him yet.
notes.
Really?
Did you want his autograph?
I'll get it later. I want Scooby-Doo's autograph because it's just him slapping a paw on something. That's pretty awesome.
That's when everybody's looking.
So I got one last question. You guys kind of famously put some of your own blood in that first pressing of the Kiss comic.
Yeah, well, it was that time of the month.
This is a family show.
Not anymore.
Are we gonna get any Kiss bodily fluids and Scooby-Doo meets Kiss?
Come on.
That's your
Yeah, are you gonna put any? What?
Come on.
I love it. Yeah, let's.
I'm actually bleeding now.
He is. It's true. There's blood everywhere.
We're gonna wrap this up on that note. We got to get a paramedic in here. We're gonna be at Comic-Con for the duration of Comic-Con. We're gonna be live from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock Pacific time. So stay tuned for that. Guys, thank you so much. This was an honor.
It's a pleasure to see us.
Thank you.
Wow.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Brian Altano. Hey. And Corey from Nintendo Treehouse.
Howdy. Howdy.
Howdy. You have Super Mario Maker with you.
We brought it.
And did you make us some Mario?
We made a level just for you guys.
You did?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, this game was a huge hit at E3.
Yeah. Before we get into that, I just want to say, if you're following us on Twitter, you should be. We're at IGN, hashtag IGN Live. Tweet us questions. We'll try to answer them. Super Mario Maker. We saw it at E3. What's up?
When we got back from E3, we decided to make a new level. I don't know, anything you're seeing right now?
Did you guys remake a palace from Zelda 2?
You took absolutely no time. I thought you were going to take a little bit
No,
longer.
man, no. This is my language right here. That's awesome.
So yeah, after E3, we just got back to Treehouse, and I was like, walked over to a coworker's desk, and he was making a level. I'm like, dude, like, is that what I think it is?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I'm like, we should totally like show that off. He took the original palace of the first palace you go to in Zelda 2. The Adventure of Link as inspiration. And things vary very quickly once you get going, but he kind of just took that idea and made a Super Mario Maker level out of it.
So let me ask you a question. You have this in your office. How do any of you get anything done?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what my next.
Or do you not have to? Is this your job?
No, we certainly. Yeah, all we do is
that's it.
We're playing Super Mario Maker, but it's just so fun that like. It's always something surprising whenever we go to somebody's desk, like they've got some like new idea that they want to show off. And for me, getting inspiration, we're in the Super Mario 3 skin right here, so you see Bowser pouncing on you. But for me, like I've been kind of working on this game a little bit for over a year, and I'm constantly seeing new things, and it's like both frightening and it makes me feel like I'm not doing my job because I don't know the game all the way.
Now, if for some reason you live in a bubble and it's your first time seeing Super Mario Maker, obviously it is not necessarily just a sequel to Super Mario, but it's more than that. It's a game where you can make your own Mario levels in multiple different Mario art styles. And one of the cool things we saw there was the warp pipes inside the levels sort of act as portals from area to area. So you can have a kind of an area at the beginning that leaps you into something that's completely different.
Yeah, and before we hop into this next level, I wanted to show you. We talked about at E3 a little bit how you can play levels from players all around the world. We're actually online right now. And we see this level that someone created.
His name is Doug.
Fit for a King. Oh, Doug created the level. But what's cool is in the bottom left, you can see the clear rate. And this is actually E3 data that we got. So we had the game online at E3, and it was played 501 times and completed 42 times.
Oh, so this is a hard level.
It's a hard level, and that's how difficulty is determined whenever you play levels online. So you can, that level that we just played, Palace Remix, you could upload it to the internet, but then when people are playing it, dynamically it determines the difficulty.
Now, I think one of my favorite things I've heard about this is that in order for someone to upload a level, they have to beat it themselves, which is, I think, that is such a simple solution to people being like, hey, here's a pit you're going to fall in.
Right, exactly.
I made a torture box.
You can be a troll, but you've got to at least beat your own level.
You got to be good, yeah.
So we just turned into Costume Mario. So this is one of the Amiibo. When the creator of this course tapped in a Bowser Amiibo, and that's how we got Bowser, the Bowser costume in here. You're seeing Miiverse messages pop up in the course as well that users who played the level have actually placed in there. Oh, you've never been able to do that before.
So now the Amiibo stuff, wow, I would not have guessed that would have gone that way. The Amiibo stuff we're seeing, do they sort of have the same physics and kind of properties as Mario does, right?
Yeah, so when Mario turned into the Bowser costume again here, he still takes on the attributes of Super Mario.
So cute.
And
he really is cute.
But the sound effects are actually unique to the character. So you get like Bowser sound effects, or we showed off a Link level at E3 where Link, the sound effects of like dying or completing the level are from Legend of Zelda. So it's a really cool aesthetic touch. There's unique animations for every Amiibo, and there's going to be many different mystery mushroom compatibility with the game.
So now we're starting to see a little more specifically why almost nobody finished this level, because this is getting insane.
Yeah,
what is he doing? Why is he?
Oh, nicely done.
Wow.
So we should hear the Bowser's music here. That was on one try too.
Bowser
really
just
impressed.
killed himself.
That was
really
weird,
dark. Man, I don't think anyone thought about that. Okay, so we got that course clear banner.
Yeah, and one cool thing here, when you do play online, you'll be able to leave comments. You can star a course if you really like it. That gives kind of feedback back to the creator, and that's actually going to make the creator of that course appear higher in the rankings because there's a menu in the game where it ranks all of the makers.
Sure, and we've got this thing at the bottom, it's sort of related links. Like, if you like this article, you might also like dying on this level.
Right, and so you don't actually have to go back to another menu. It's just like continuous play.
Yeah.
Which is kind of daunting at the same time, because for me, when I play games like Super Mario 3D World, I want to I complete games all the way through 100%.
Well, you're never going to beat this game.
You will never do that.
Don't tell me that. I might.
There's no end to this.
I don't think. So how is that populated down at the bottom there? Was that your friends list, or that was just sort of like similar levels? Like, is there an algorithm?
There's an algorithm down there, so it's hopefully is not going to be recommending an absolutely impossible level if you want to play easy levels. So if you had just played a level that was like super duper easy, it's going to hopefully recommend levels that are in that same range. Now, we just entered the creator or the maker side, because again, Super Mario Maker lets you play from a near infinite number of courses, but you can also just make your own. So Rob's playing what looks like a version of 1-1 right now.
Yeah,
but he's
friendly and inviting and normal looking, and he's about to make it psychotic.
Yeah, and we're showing a little bit of the different themes that you can switch between. So you've got 4 different themes: original Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and new Super Mario Bros. U. There's a wiggler.
So now we saw that entire inventory screen there. I saw some empty spaces. Will you be able to unlock stuff?
Those empty spaces that you saw on that menu, so you just saw 5 rows, that's the complete set of tools in the game.
Got it.
That bottom row is actually for customization. So if you
cool.
wanted to customize your own row, so you could do that.
Sort of like your
row.
favorites or whatever.
Yeah, a favorite row.
So one of the things I really enjoy about this game is that you can be really mean and put anything you want inside of a question block, which we saw him putting in enemies instead of.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's a very cruel trick to do to your friends.
A handful of spring snakes.
And then also dragging power-ups onto things, shaking them makes them angry or changes their properties.
Yeah, he just shook a shoe Goomba, and that became a stiletto Goomba that wears a heel.
Ooh la la.
Just like when you shake a regular shoe and it becomes a stiletto. So yeah, tons of different items here, and the cool thing we're seeing is that there's sort of a language for each game, right? But some of them didn't really have things that other games did. Like we never saw the Wiggler in the original Mario Brothers, but now he's here, right? That's a character we didn't really see until Super Mario World, so we got to see an 8-bit version of him for the first time.
Exactly. And there's also, again,
is that a flying shoe? What is happening?
Yeah, so he put wings on the stiletto, and now he's flying in the stiletto.
I love that the incredible surreal nature of Mario has become so accepted that it can become like this meta surreal. You killed a flying turtle, but now the shoe has wings. That doesn't make sense.
And again, we're seeing the pipe, how it connects 2 levels. So a lot of people at E3 asked us, well, how long can you make a level?
Yeah.
And there's many different screens you can, the length of it, you can drag it all the way to the right and make it really long. But on top of that, if you do give it a sub area,
sure.
We're underground right now. You could actually make the underground area water level if you wanted to. So your top layer of the level is all above ground, and then the underground part through the pipe is underwater.
And now, the great thing about this is that he's making this level and testing it on the fly. He's not backing out and starting from scratch. You can kind of just play things as you go, right?
And there's no loading. I think that's really fun for me, is that it just makes it a lot more accessible to edit, because in the beginning, I think we had a conversation earlier about you saying when you play games that let you create, you kind of feel maybe I don't know if overwhelmed.
No,
but
it's totally overwhelmed. And there's a lot of games where I come home from work and the last thing I want to do is kind of futz around with the character creator or a level-based thing. It takes a long time. It's very cumbersome. But this is very quick and hands-on. You've got the touchscreen. It's super intuitive, just hopping in there and actually physically drawing out levels, which is something I used to do when I was a kid.
Right, and it's the same thing that you did as a kid. You're still just basically drawing on the gamepad with the stylus, and it's that simple.
There's no learning curve in terms of the basic interface.
Look at this. He just made this nightmare room that you have to swim through. So we've got these conveyor belts up here.
Maybe you shouldn't go down that pipe, right?
Don't touch that. That was not a power up.
Don't go in there.
It's a rookie move to think that electric squid was a mushroom.
And yeah, some of the items are actually brand new. That's actually, for fans of Mario, that's a one-way wall. So if you go up that wall, you cannot go down, right? The only way he could go down is by going
One-way wall is my favorite Mario character.
I mean, the item.
So this is what I really enjoy about this is the idea that people will be making Mario levels constantly. But where does that kind of put Nintendo, right? I mean, they're sort of empowering their audience to make Mario levels forever. I mean, does Nintendo have any plan to sort of call on game designers within them to kind of say, hey, make some cool stuff in Mario, or maybe reach out to another third-party developer who's been making video games.
You mean for like a Super Mario game,
Yeah.
or just for like within?
I mean,
Super
for
Mario Maker?
For Mario Maker specifically, I'd love to see like legendary game designers working on levels for it.
That would be really, really cool. I know we definitely are interested in seeing, like, I think what's been, I guess, the most fascinating is that we've been creating levels. We create a lot of levels for E3, Nintendo, various departments that aren't game designers. It's just people in the art department, or like people in Treehouse, or like people that aren't video game developers. So I cannot wait for the game to come out to just see where that creativity from
Speaking of which,
game developers or you guys.
When does Mario Maker come out?
Super Mario Maker will be out the 11th of September.
Sweet.
It comes with a sweet idea book as well, which is filled with like ideas that you can then kind of like get inspiration from. And
that's fantastic, and that is a game that will keep on giving. Corey, thank you so much for showing that off. Brian, thank you for doing that thing you do where you freak out about Nintendo stuff. It's always fun.
Get so excited.
We're going to be doing lots more stuff, freaking out about all sorts of things right here at Comic-Con, so stay tuned.
Hey there, Chris here for IGN with Rupert Graves and Sue Virtue from Sherlock. How you doing, guys?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Well, jet lagged.
We're all a bit jet lagged?
Bit jet lagged.
Brits in San Diego.
Yeah.
There's a man behind us shouting, so apologies for that.
I think he's a John the Baptist superhero. He's come the comic.
Some cosplay. First question, Sue, how does season 4 of Sherlock end?
Season 4 of
Yeah.
Sherlock end?
Yeah.
The one that we haven't shot or written
Yeah,
yet?
yeah, but...
I don't think we really know how it starts
we don't really
yet,
know how
do
it
we?
starts, no.
Okay.
There we are.
Bad question to kick off with. Are you guys here showing anything though?
We are showing a little something.
Okay.
Yes.
Sometime today, in fact. This is
Sometime
going
today,
out this
we're
afternoon,
showing
so.
a little clip.
But you can't tell us what yet.
No.
But it might be to do with the Christmas special.
Might to do with the special.
What can you tell us about
Which
the Christmas?
we never call it Christmas special, do we?
Okay.
Everyone else calls it Christmas
What do you
special.
call it?
Special.
We call it the special.
The special, because it
Well,
is...
do we know when it's going to air?
It'll have a title one day. It has got a title, we're just not telling you what it is.
Is it Conan Doyle based, the title? Because I know maybe one of your writers might have tweeted something Christmassy from Conan Doyle.
I think this is when you really need Stephen Moffat. This is when we really need Stephen here. Yeah, it's a bit.
All right, so it's a Victorian story though.
Yes.
What inspired you guys to go back in time?
Well, Stephen and Mark, they just wanted. There's a whole lot of stuff that you can't do when it's modern day, which they can do when it's Victorian, and then we just wanted to see everyone in. Well, we wanted to see whiskers. On
I've
Rupert.
got. I wear these two hedges, which are like Elvis quiffs on my cheeks, and you just see a door jam, and then you see a little hedge coming into shot. You'll know it's me.
Can you let us know
Did you like wearing the clothes?
I loved it. Yeah. One of my favourite parts of the job was going to the costume fitting to find the equivalent, the Victorian equivalent of a kind of copper's clothes, which I found really fun, and the whole thing's fun. The room, the place where we stay in Baker Street, the flat where they stay, not me, but I pop into, is there's so much fun. The set decorators had so much fun Victorianising it in the same way, and that's kind of like a metaphor for the whole thing, really, isn't it? It's been fun transposing it to the Victorian era.
Because there's a glass door now, isn't there, downstairs? And
Yeah.
It's got all little, sorry, we're just carrying on now.
No, I like it. I mean,
little
it
hints,
makes my job easy.
Little hints of other Sherlock stories.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. There's lots of little kind of clues and things in there. It's a lot of fun.
So lots of little Easter eggs that we should look out for.
Yeah, look out for those. And it's a whole Victorian equivalent of what our modern day Sherlock is in that room now. So,
is it a definitive one-off, or is there an opportunity to do more of these back in time if people like them?
no, this is it's a little bubble of its own. It's a separate special. It's a special. It's a
So does
one-off
that mean
episode.
all bets are off? Like anything can happen to our lead characters because it's a one-off?
Well, yeah. Well, there's supposed to be we had a lot of. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of kind of playing around in it, isn't there? Which is going to be delightful.
Am I right in thinking Tim McInnerny's in it?
Tim McInerney. Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry, I said his name wrong. What does he bring to proceedings?
He plays a part.
Literally, we're talking
We're really
without
not helping
talking.
you, are we? We're not
He's
helping
he's a
at
wonderful
all.
actor. He brings his he brings his. But the thing about Sherlock is it's so dependent on surprise. What's hard about chatting, isn't it, like this?
Yeah.
It's so dependent upon surprise that to kind of give spoilers really, I think, diminishes the thrill of watching.
No, I don't want to know.
No.
I feel like our viewers might. But so, what does Lestrade do then? Tell us everything.
In this one, Lestrade does his usual thing. He kind of comes in and goes,
Yeah, Sherlock, I've got a case. I don't know what to do. What will you do, Superman?
and he says, "Come with me," and he solves it. So that's sort of what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, you gump about a bit, don't you?
Well, let's talk about something you can shed light on. What happens in season 4 of? Sorry, there's some people behind us shouting. What happens in season 4?
We don't know, do we? I don't know who the writers now. Actually,
do you
they
know
know the
what?
strokes.
The actors that were last, we only know when we get when the script thumps down on our doormat.
They can't hear. It's fine. It's fine. When does it
But
shoot?
we know when we're shooting it. We
Yes.
do know when we're shooting it.
That's
we're
a question.
shooting it next spring.
And any idea when we might see it? Are we looking at 2016?
Where are we now? 15. We're shooting at 16, so
Maybe 2017.
I would have thought. I mean, I think it'll be the shortest distance of time between the two.
Is this a scheduling thing? Is it just impossible to get
BBC
these?
never tell us when it's going out.
Right.
And Masterpiece, PBS, they have to basically. they're
Which is
about
where
the
it's
same
screening,
time,
Masterpiece,
which is where
PBS
Masterpiece on
in
PBS.
America, BBC in the
Thank
UK.
you very much, Masterpiece.
I want to ask your advice though, Sue. After this, I'm going off to do some Doctor Who interviews. What should I ask the Doctor Who people? Because I believe you know them.
We know them vaguely, don't we? Well, you can find out if my husband's wearing trousers or shorts, because that's a conversation we had this morning.
good.
He wanted to wear shorts.
You
He
could wear
said all
both.
he said all the panels.
He
and all
could
the
come as
cameras
Superman and
are
he could
from
put
up
shorts
here.
over his loins.
I'll kick off with that, but that's all you're giving me.
Yeah, that's all I'm giving
All
you.
right. Well, thank you for telling me nothing
Yeah, thank
about
you
what's
for
coming up on
asking us.
Sherlock. But lovely to chat to you guys, and keep it right here on IGN for all your Comic-Con needs.
Welcome Welcome back to the show, everybody. IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Damon. This is Jim. It's time to talk about Hitman Agent 47. We have with us the stars of the film, Rupert Friend and Hannah Ware. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Hannah, welcome back. Actually,
Thank
you were on our live stream last year
with
Zachary, who couldn't be here today. He's filming something called Star Trek. I guess he's busy with that.
Who cares?
I want to kick off though with you've assumed the mantle of this iconic video game character, Agent 47. Were you kind of daunted at all by the sort of, he is, like I said, an iconic character in this medium?
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of the guy and the world, and that it was a hugely popular video game franchise, but when I was really blown away was actually when they sent me the games and I got to play them, and I realized it wasn't a shoot 'em up, which is kind of what I thought it was, that it was actually this incredibly complex stealth thriller, and then that got my juices going.
Did you play all of the games, or were there certain ones that you took the most
I started
kind of
with
shine to?
Absolution and went backwards. So, I started with this incredibly drawn world, and as a lover of film, the cinematography is beautiful. They'd clearly used motion capture or whatever on an actor, because the movement of the guy was amazing, and I just thought it was like being in a film. So to me, it was a kick.
So do you feel like you set out to capture that sense of, Hitman, the video games are a lot about stealth.
Yeah.
And I've seen the trailers. I think the movie looks like a lot of fun. There's these really big action set pieces. So how do you balance that with the stealth that the character's known for?
It's a good question, and obviously one can't please all parties, but I think that my biggest thing with the filmmakers was, let's include those touchstones from the game. Let's have the hiding of bodies so that they don't raise the alarm. Let's bring in more disguises if we can, and let's make the traps as kind of calm and cunning and efficient as possible. And then, I guess because it's a movie, there are going to be times when he just kicks ass,
Now, Hannah, you had to be very tight-lipped last year talking about your character, and I'm not expecting you to be able to say too much more about your character, but what can you tell us about Katya that you couldn't say last year?
Well, I can tell you that she might have some skills of her own, which
we've seen a little bit in the trailer.
Yeah, I think you've seen that in the trailer, that are quite unique and rare, and not that your average person has. Whether what that means is still something I have to remain tight-lipped about.
But she also has what can you say about her? Excuse me, too much partying last night. What can you say about sort of the emotional arc that she has in this movie? I mean,
I think all the characters have a really amazing emotional arc. But you first meet Katya as a sort of lost girl looking for this person that she can't find in some way to help inform her about how she interacts with the world, because there's something kind of off about Katya when you first meet her. She doesn't feel very comfortable in seemingly normal surroundings that most people would. And throughout the film, she learns a lot through 47, who she becomes embroiled in his latest mission, that there are strengths about herself which will teach her more about herself and give her a sort of new confidence and breath of life that will really propel her
that
forward.
was a lovely way to dance around your NDA
I
too.
thought so,
That was that was really studio. Take
Obviously
notes of that.
a pro.
That's how you do it.
So Rupert, we've seen you kick ass on Homeland before. Hannah, is this your first chance to do a real physical role?
Yeah,
in
my
all the martial arts
first.
and
I'm a
stuff?
huge Homeland fan though,
Yeah,
so
well, we all
I
are.
felt automatically I felt very very worried about disassembling guns in front of Rupert, because he's so good at them.
We should
So
all
good at
feel
them.
very worried about disassembling guns in front of Rupert.
It was slightly intimidating.
Yeah. Now, from what I've seen in the movie, 47 is actually, he seems almost sort of villainous at first. Like the movie really captures that sort of intimidation factor of this guy. Like, he is a hitman. He is. You better hope you're not the one on his list.
Yeah.
Did you have fun sort of playing the almost bad guy element of him too. I know he's an anti-hero, but you know, he is.
Yeah, and it's a good anti-hero is a great word. You know, this is not someone who's saving the day. He's not swooping in and holding up the dying child car thing. It's not Superman. He is a man who kills people for money, and that is obviously not morally particularly on point. But what's fun about it is exactly that. It's bringing this thing for me into the real world. So instead of it being like a cartoon version, for me it's like this is actually a guy who could kill you. And that's when I'm like, oh, now I'm scared. And now I'm interested. And now I really believe it when he, you know, puts somebody on the floor in one move. You're like, it's not kind of 60s Batman, bam, powerful. It's supposed to be like, oh, wow, that hurt.
60s Batman sat right where you did last year at our live stream, by
Adam
the way.
Lancaster?
Adam West.
Yeah. Adam West and Burt Lancaster. Burt Ward.
Burt Ward was not with us then.
He's not with us full stop, I don't
No, he's alive.
He is?
Yeah. Robin is not dead. But I wanted to ask you, though, also about the big set pieces in the movie. You did mention that you have a lot of hand-to-hand combat stuff as well. But, you know, there are the huge sort of shoot 'em up set pieces as well, including one I believe on Escalator, right? Can you talk about sort of how long did it take to film some of those sequences?
Yeah, well, I can tell you, we shot in Singapore. Part of the movie, it's kind of a global movie, and we shot part of it in Singapore, where nobody has ever fired a gun except for a policeman ever, except for me in this role. And they were so freaked out about it that every single bullet that I fired had to be found after every take. So if you shoot 20 dead stunt guys, you have to go and pick out of the gutter and out of the trees the bullet casings, and if there aren't 20, we don't carry on.
I remember that in an alley.
forever.
We kind of all the filming was held up because someone was crawling around looking amongst a pavement.
The bullet wrangler. You actually had a bullet wrangler.
We had a bullet wrangler, so the momentum slightly gets lost in the sort of middle of the sequence when everyone's on their hands and knees, you know.
Well, we are actually out of time, but before we go, I have to ask you, anything you tell us about season 5 of Homeland? Any sort of...
You had a very, conflicted storyline going on.
I mean, what I would say is that Quinn has been in what could only be described as hell on earth for 2.5 years without really any contact with anyone other than to potentially get rid of them. And it's a bit like, what does that sort of do to you as a person? And I would say that's where we start, with Quinn at least.
All right, well, I look forward to seeing it, and we look forward to watching Hitman Agent 47. It's in theaters August 21st. Rupert, Hannah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more from Comic-Con Live right after this.
This is when they show.
Yes. The new Dragon Ball movie.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's coming out. You're bringing that stateside.
That's right. Matter of fact, we had a bit of a premiere event last weekend that went over really great. It's, I mean, the fans are loving what they're seeing so far. But yeah, August 4th through 12th, it'll be at about 1,000 theaters nationwide.
Now, this is the follow-up to Battle of Gods, right?
That's right.
And this is it's kind of nebulous. This is only the second Dragon Ball movie that Akira Toriyama has been directly overseeing himself.
That's right. Everything else had been satellites.
Now, this is one thing I've been kind of unclear about in terms of just specific messaging. This basically paves over GT, correct?
Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, there's been a line of logic that says, yes, it does. But then on the other side of it, it happens so far after the events of GT that perhaps it will stay in. I think really time will tell if GT ends up exiting the canon or not.
The time frame is sort of nebulous because, like, I mean, some people age, but you know, we've got Master Roshi, and he's ripped and he's in a tank top, and then we've got Gohan's in a tracksuit, but then Krillin doesn't have hair for some reason.
Right. No, he gets it cut in this movie. He has it at the beginning, and 18 does. You know, like they have like this rocky moment.
Okay, so they're gonna explain that.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing I really loved about Battle of Gods that some people weren't crazy about, but it brought back that goofiness that original like basic little kid Dragon Ball has.
Right.
But it still had the big epic fight scenes of Z.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a great blending of both Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, whereas Resurrection F really kind of hits the Dragon Ball Z audience very much. So you're talking a lot more fights, a lot more action. The silliness is really kind of drawn back. There is comic relief, which is Beerus and Whis will make a return in this movie as well.
Now they're a big part of this. They make an appearance. They were obviously the titular gods from Battle of Gods, basically.
Right.
Can you talk at all about Dragon Ball Super?
I can say that I've seen the first episode. I'm sure as most of the public has, and I can tell you we're real excited about the show for sure. As to what the future is of that, that's a little bit the 8-Ball hasn't come up with an answer just yet.
Okay. Would it be safe to say that phone calls have been made from Funimation offices to Toei offices, and that there's negotiations in place?
Yeah, there have been a lot of pleases.
Okay. That's reasonable speculation that the company that's been dealing with Dragon Ball for 15 years probably would continue to do so?
I would imagine, yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Cool. So
safe to say.
Yeah, I think it's in good hands. This is so cool. I mean, like, I love that Toriyama's back getting his hands dirty with it.
Absolutely.
I was never really crazy about GT because it lacked his kind of personal style, and I love the Dragon Ball manga as a whole.
Sure.
And the new movies really kind of seem to be really fusing that well.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you what's your favorite part of Dragon Ball? What's your favorite angle? Because you've had like a very hands-on approach.
Sure. To me, the beauty of Dragon Ball Z, quite frankly, and I know this sounds kind of cheesy, but it's the lessons that come out of it. This pride before the fall, friends above all else. I mean, those kind of themes that run throughout the course of the 500 plus episodes that the series has run is ultimately the pulsing heart of that series.
Yeah.
These characters have been developed and continue to develop. And what I think is great about these movies is that for the first time, we're kind of getting to see Goku's character get a little bit more developed. He's always been, the constant thing throughout the whole Dragon Ball Z. And so finally here we're getting to see him grow a little bit as far as, the training he's doing and not wanting to merge with, say Vegeta and maybe make things go a little faster as far as a fight.
He's always been a little bit slow, He's not
not
the quickest, but he's got that ability to make friends. That's kind of his superpower, is he just makes friends with just about everybody. We actually have a question from Twitter if you want to check that out. It always takes a second. Sorry about that. Here we go. Callum says, when will it be out in cinemas?
Oh, well, that'll be August 4th through 12th.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where can people, how many, you said like
There'll be 1,000 theaters across the country. The way to do this, and and I know that it's very abnormal to try to pre-buy your tickets to go to a movie theater, but in this particular example, it's totally the way to do it.
Think of it like a concert or something.
Exactly. So DragonBallZ.com, you can buy tickets there, and that'll get you guaranteed. Also, it'll show you kind of where those theaters locally to your area are going to be.
It's also a great way to meet up with a bunch of other Dragon Ball fans.
This is an event, and we encourage everybody to kind of turn it into that. And the other thing, too, is I think by going to this movie, you're making a statement not just for Dragon Ball Z and the fandom that you may have for that, but it's also for anime in general.
Yeah.
I mean, the more attendance we can get for these things, the bigger the numbers are. It's going to impress other companies, and it's going to show this mainstream our audience wants more anime
we
at the
see,
theater.
I mean, that's the thing. Is kind of I was in high school when Toonami blew up, and anime was this kind of huge invasion thing, and Dragon Ball was a huge part of that.
Right.
And people my age are now my age, and suddenly it's like, oh hey, like we have jobs, and I mean, some people have kids who were in anime, and now it's this, it's here to stay, kind of. Safe to assume.
I think that with the movies coming out now, it's really made the generation gap. It's blended that, and so now I think you've got parents who are taking their kids out to these movies, and the kids are involved in it, especially with Kai having been on for the last few years.
Yeah.
It's really helped to reintroduce, you know, a new audience.
Can you talk a little bit about this? I'm sorry to make this massive leap here. Why is Goku's hair blue? What's going on? Because his hair went. He got red hair and sort of like he got Super Saiyan mode in Battle of Gods, and then now he's blue. And
Well, there's nothing that actually states in the film exactly why that happens, but I can assume that. You know, he just discovered it in Battle of Gods, that power. So I'm thinking that's probably like an unstable form, and I think what we're seeing in Resurrection F is a well-trained, finalized form of this Super Saiyan God.
Okay, so it's like kind of like a Kaioken versus Super Saiyan.
There you go.
Almost. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we've seen some new outfits for Goku and Vegeta, and they've got this little squiggle on them.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, that does get explained in the movie, but that's actually an autograph.
Oh.
So it turns out that the cast of Dragon Ball Z likes getting autographs as much as giving them.
Interesting. There is a new character in this who is, well, he's new to Dragon Ball, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
And it's what's his name? I'm sorry.
Jocko.
Jocko, the Intergalactic Patrolman.
You got it.
Okay, and that's a separate, like, kind of original Toriyama creation.
That's exactly right.
What does he do?
Well, this is a guy who polices the galaxy and makes sure that the races don't necessarily intermingle, that there's no Saiyans on Earth. He hasn't been doing a great job.
Apparently not.
But he's a fantastic new character in the series, and in this movie really adds a lot. And I guess, you know, it's not much of a spoiler, but people have seen him in the opening of Super as well, so I guess he's here to stay. But he's voiced by Todd Haberkorn in our U.S. version of it, who brings, quite frankly, a fantastic voice to that character.
That's good stuff. Well, Justin, thank you so much for talking. I love that I get to talk about Dragon Ball Z for work. That is awesome. Everybody get out there and see Dragon Ball Z in theaters, and in the meantime, stay tuned. We're covering Comic-Con live, 1 o'clock to 5 p.m. Pacific time for the rest of Comic-Con. See you guys later. Welcome back to IGN Live at Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Brian Altano.
What's up?
Robert Conkey from Activision.
What's up?
Andy from Hasbro, writer of Transformers Devastation, and Greg Berger, who is the voice of Grimlock.
Me Dinobot leader.
There we go.
I don't think the rest of us have to talk for the rest.
Yeah,
of the
pretty much. So we got this revealed at E3. This is, I think, probably one of the games that was just most of a surprise. It was kind of a weird year. There was some big surprises, but as far as like seeing something in action that was a game, this is definitely up there on my list. And Robert, we get to check it out with some of the Platinum guys. Yeah. It's a Generation 1 looking Transformers game. It was teased that Grimlock is in it, but we didn't get to see that in action. And you brought a clip of this?
We have.
Okay.
Yeah, so
before we get into it, I guess let's check it out. Yeah, let's look at this. There are cars, but wait.
They transform. I've seen enough. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, this looks, I mean, this is something really special, right? As an 80s baby like myself, this is kind of the video game I wanted growing up. I didn't get that because we didn't have video game graphics like that back then. But we're finally here. We can finally do the magic of actually making Transformers look like they were drawn in the 80s.
Yeah, and I mean, Transformers really, it kind of got the short end of the stick in terms of games for quite some time. It wasn't until like the movie started coming out that people even really started attempting it. And was it High Moon Studios? They did like a pretty good job with this. And now Platinum's taking a stab at it, and we get this awesome cel-shaded look, and it's drawing from all the stuff that made us love Transformers in the first place.
Oh yeah, and if there's anybody that's a fan of Transformers, it's Platinum Games guys. I mean, they are nuts about it.
Yeah.
They've got guys that have every single toy that's ever existed. They have all the exclusives from all of the show, all of the different trade shows.
That's so unfortunate though, because you have to rent an extra room in your house.
It's true. Yeah. Oh man, they're nuts. They even told me Saito-san, who was you interviewed him last time at E3. He actually had a day where everyone would bring their Transformers to work, and they would have a play time where everyone just would play with Transformers, right? Just to get them in the mood, right?
Okay. The good old bring your Transformer to work day.
Oh yeah, it's a classic in the band.
See, we just keep our Transformers at work so that our significant others don't yell at us.
Yeah, we have leave our Transformers at work forever day, so we don't get divorced.
Fair enough.
Now, Andy, you're writing the game. Yeah. And you have a background kind of, I was sort of asking about this, you worked on various comics before. What's the premise here? The premise is that there's an event that starts taking place that sort of sparks all the action together, that something is starting to, we're calling it cyberform the Earth, which is essentially terraforming the Earth into a kind of a new sort of Cybertron. And it turns out that the humans on Earth don't like that because it takes all the air away. So Optimus Prime gets involved, and Megatron gets involved, and as you all know, they're like fast friends.
Yeah.
And so it's really just the
Couple
two
of
of them
best pals
sitting
there, yeah.
they really just sit around and chat for most of the game. Yeah. Which is exciting as the writer to be able to facilitate that dialogue.
Wow. And it's good for the people who live in that city too, because nothing bad ever happens to it at all.
Right, yeah.
Nothing ever gets wrecked or constantly destroyed.
Now, Greg, like you're Grimlock. I'm expecting you to say it again. Just what is your lines like in this? Like, what's your motivation when you go into being a game?
There's a lot of nods to the past, nods to the present, and nods to the future. And we're living in Generations universe, and me munch metal. I'll tell you that. Quite a bit of it. And I mean, I've always approached Grimlock as the best I can get, aside from need new strategy, is that he tends to function from ready, fire, aim.
Is he okay? Is he a happy guy? Because I feel like the other Transformers have a full vernacular. They have an entire vocabulary. Grimlock, is he saving time? Is that why he's cutting so many words out?
I said to Andy this morning, how pronounally challenged are we in this venture? And Grimlock is very happy within Grimlock. The thing about any character and developing any character and maintaining and sustaining any character is you have to realize that your core makes you comfortable with the choices you make. He challenges Optimus, he challenges everyone. He believes that aggression is more important than deliberation, and that's what he functions from. It makes him a perfect in the field of battle. Because he doesn't over deliberate on choices that can be made aggressively.
Gets the jobs done. I want to point out we're actually seeing live gameplay right now.
Yep.
So if Optimus Prime dies again, it's Sean's fault.
If he dies in this game, he dies in real life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So actually, Greg, I kind of want to ask you about this. Grimlock showed up in the last Transformers movie, but you didn't do any lines for that, did you?
There were no humans involved in the screams and roars.
Was that weird for you? Because like that was to see like a poster with Optimus Prime on this character that you've played.
Not so much that it was weird, but what's not weird is in social media, I'm hard pressed to find an image of Grimlock that goes up online that someone doesn't tag my name to within seconds. I can beat my chest and tell you that makes me feel fantastic, but it also humbles me and makes me so grateful to fandomandom, and fan loyalty over time, over years, and this is a character that's been very important to my evolution as having a career. I would like to think that I'm also important to the evolution of Grimlock as Grimlock.
Well, it's like in a very literal sense, it's a pleasure not just talking to you, but hearing you talk. You voiced a bunch of other childhood noises.
I get around. I only go where I'm invited, but happily I get invited quite a bit.
I will say it is nice to know that you don't always talk like that.
It'd be weird if you just left out pronouns.
Who's asking?
When you get hungry or something, you're just like,
Thanks for having me.
that was Yoda. What are you doing?
You know, I don't do his job. I do this, so I can make those mistakes and
No,
still
but it
get
was
paid.
a really good Yoda.
You've also got you've also got
Thank
Peter
you.
Cullen, and I'm drawing a blank. The Bumblebee's original voice actor, are also
David
in
Galveston.
Yeah,
Dan Gilveston.
Dan Gilveston.
Dan Gilveston.
Do you have Frank Welker?
We do have Frank
That's
Welker.
that's
as
awesome.
both Soundwave
Wow.
and Megatron.
We
keep
him in the trunk back here.
Yeah.
Bring him with us.
The old Transformers.
So,
Well,
yeah, we're super
I'd just
excited
like
about
to say, with what Greg was saying about the evolution of the character, I can tell you from working on this game and going back and reviewing Grimlock's history, watching animation, reading the comics, that the character, even within that original cartoon from the 80s, evolves greatly. His speech evolves, his intelligence evolves. You can see in those 3 seasons of that show, you can see Grimlock evolving as a character, and it definitely is cued by Greg's voice. Would you say he transforms? Get out! I'm sorry. I don't know why they hired me to do this. It's awful. It's terrible.
already said it.
I wouldn't say that. No.
And honestly, that's why I chose the words maintain and sustain. I do some teaching as well, and the good news is always that you got the part, but then some are more vocally demanding than others. This one's a mother, and but the goal is to figure out a way to maintain and sustain that. That means you got to bring your game up to whatever is demanded of you vocally or otherwise. Also, there's a collaboration with the writers and the incredible artists and incredible writers.
It looks, yeah. I mean,
to honor what they've given you, what they've tasked you with.
it's awesome. I mean, it's Transformers is a beautiful legacy series at this point. And
Yeah.
it's without pointing any fingers, it's nice to see all these characters without any flame decals on them. So yeah, we've got Devastator here. Is this kind of he kind of plays a key role? I mean, Devastation is in the is in the title.
He's featured very prominently. He is definitely not the primary villain. I think Megatron kind of fits that bill quite a bit, but he is one of his primary tools.
So the Devastation in the title is not an emotional state.
No. No. Although I can say you might think that. Yeah.
This is not after a bad breakup that a couple of Transformers had. I don't know how they date. I'll have questions for you guys after the show.
I said it's Optimus and Megatron on a couch. It's their therapy session after the breakup, after this devastating breakup. Yeah. All this stuff you're seeing, you don't get to play any of this.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, we do have to start wrapping up, but when can people get their hands on this?
October 6th this year.
And what platforms, how much?
Yeah. Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, and Steam.
Killer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a huge
Absolutely.
honor. You guys watching at home, we've got plenty more stuff coming up, so don't go anywhere. Just hang out. We'll be right back. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by Marvel's Ant-Man.
That was great. Thank you
in
guys so
theaters
much.
July 17th.
Like, let's say somebody has been living in a hole in the ground and they don't know what the hell Lego Dimensions is. Can you give us a brief rundown?
Yeah, so Lego Dimensions is the idea that all toys, all your Lego toys from across all the different IPs are mashed together into this huge game where Scooby-Doo, Doctor Who, Batman, they all come together in this new original story that we've put together.
What I love about this is San Diego Comic-Con in microcosm here, right?
Pretty much.
We've got sort of Batman, Doctor Who, Gandalf, all these great characters together. What's the premise? These are our three heroes here, right? Wildstyle,
Yeah.
Batman, and Gandalf. What are they trying to do in this game?
So the whole idea is, so we've got a new big bad, Lord Vortex, and he wants to reshape the universe in his image. So as he starts to do that, he starts to open these rifts into the different worlds and pulling things out of it. Unfortunately, he grabs hold of Robin, Metalbeard, and Frodo, and so obviously our three heroes jump through the vortexes after them to try and save the day. Along the way, they meet new people to help them out on this quest.
So you've got a lot of great Warner franchises. You've got Wizard of Oz, you've got Scooby-Doo, but you announced last night some Doctor Who news. Peter Capaldi was actually here talking about his involvement with the game. How cool is it to work with him?
It was like, growing up as a fan of Doctor Who, it was like all your Christmases coming at once. You're stood in a room with Peter Capaldi talking to you, and it's just, the fangirl in you starts screaming. It's like, no, stay professional, really, It was just incredible. I mean, the BBC from top to bottom were just brilliant. They was telling us which characters we could use, and they just opened up this entire archive and just said, go nuts. We really want to see you guys do the best entertainment version of the Doctor that's ever been, and hopefully we've done that.
Well, I see you've got K9, you've got the TARDIS, you've got Dalek, Cybermen, but also all the other Doctors are in it. We saw last night you went back and forth in the TARDISes and came out with John Pertwee and all these other guys that we remember from the series.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of early on. In a Lego game, you don't really die, and kind of the Doctor doesn't either. He regenerates, so it sort of made sense if we said, why can't we have the Doctor regenerate in the game as well? And just keep they did that amazing 50th anniversary episode that sort of opened the door to all this lore. And we kind of wanted to jump on that bandwagon a little bit because there's kids who probably won't know these earlier Doctors. Everyone's going to be familiar with Peter now, but all these older ones, it's a really good way for us to introduce them to all these old episodes. Plus, it was an excuse for us in the studio to sit there and watch episode after episode of Doctor Who.
That sounds like a good work day.
Right? It was, yeah.
So I got a question. How do Doctor Who and Batman interact? That just seems like a really weird pairing of characters.
It is, you kind of question really how would they actually respond to each other. I mean, Batman is really macho and sort of got like daddy issues.
I mean, Doctor Who kind of sounds like a Batman villain. Like that.
He does a little bit, yeah. I think he would school Batman a little bit. That's my take on it.
Well, he has like the powers of time and space at his disposal, basically. Batman has like a car.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, it's a pretty cool car.
Peter Capaldi said last night he's most excited about his character meeting Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Yeah,
they could have a battle of the hairs, right?
Yeah, I mean, who does have the coolest hair? Is it Doc Brown or Peter Capaldi?
Well, mechanically, what does Doctor Who do in the game? Like, how is he used? What is the player going to be able to do with him?
So the Doctor actually comes with his trusty sonic screwdriver, which of course can be used to go through different puzzles.
Yeah. Open up gates, doors, all kinds of things.
Find new things. So the cool thing about this is each individual character in Lego Dimensions has their own unique abilities or powers, something that makes them really stand out. So there's a reason, if you have a favorite character across any of the IPs, you're not shortchanged. There's a reason to go and get the character.
Well, let's talk about the portal a little bit here, this sort of element that you put the characters on.
Sorry, gateway.
Sorry, the gateway.
No. It's the toy part. The gateway's the Lego bricks.
There are different elements here and different places for characters to be that are actually mechanically significant in the game in terms of unlocking puzzles. How does all that work?
So we wanted the toy pad to not just be a swanning device, so we actually made it from the ground up to actually interact with the gameplay. So as you progress through the game, you'll unlock new abilities. So as you saw in some of the demos earlier on, there's different ones tied between moving the characters from different points on the board, and that will unlock different abilities in the game. One that we like to show off is Shift, which lights up different colours on the toy pad, and then those colours correspond to different areas in the game. As you move the characters, they will teleport to different areas of the levels.
Oh, wow. I love that there is that kind of that philosophy of combining the ethereal video game nature with actual physical components. And people have tried that, but I feel like it hasn't really And it's always felt like a little bit gimmicky, you know. But you guys, it seems like you're doing some cool stuff here. You can also make your guys bigger, can't you?
Yeah, that's another ability. So scale. So you move your character from one side of the toy pad to the other. You either grow into a huge mega fig or tiny little one.
And that's based on unlocking these keystones in
Exactly,
the game, right?
yeah. So as you progress through the game, you find these new keystones and they give you the new ability. So by the time you get to the last level of the game and you're facing up with Lord Vorton, you're kind of like, whoa, messing around, doing all these different shifting, scaling, doing all different abilities.
Yeah, this one we're seeing here, there are elemental abilities tied with each portion of the toy pad here, right?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
People all remember the part in Batman when he shot fire at people. We actually have a question from Twitter. Friendly reminder, if you're watching at home and you have questions for us, you can get them to us just at IGN with the hashtag IGN Live. Chris says, what was the most fun part of making Lego Dimensions?
There's far too many to talk.
It's a big thank you to fans that is coming here, because it is precisely because of the folks that come to Comic-Con that Deadpool got made. That and whoever leaked that test footage that went over so well.
Yeah.
But this is them coming to Comic-Con. No, this is it for me.
Too early for a trailer for that one?
They'll definitely show a sizzle reel. They've been in production now a few months, but they still have a ways to go on the shoot. I would imagine, you know, they've released, Bryan Singer has certainly released a lot of concept art. We'll probably get like maybe some flashes of, say, Angel or Storm or you know, even Apocalypse, kind of a reveal of, you know, because he's going to be done through performance capture for the most part. So getting sort of a look of how you turn Oscar Isaac, this sort of average-sized guy, into this giant supervillain.
Right.
You know.
Has Bryan Singer said, is this going to be his last turn as
that's a
director,
good question. I'm trying to remember. I have a feeling they'll. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly the
fourth
creative.
one, right?
He is certainly going to be the creative overseer. Whether or not he comes back to direct another one, I think we'll have to. It remains to be seen. But he's come back this many times now, so maybe they will. But I have a feeling they kind of want to end this particular story, and that is the big question. I'm sure a lot of people will ask them: how do you move forward with the X-Men franchise now that you know, you're retiring your three leads of this rebooted universe? I should say, Hugh Jackman is here for Pan that day, that morning, for Warner Brothers. Will he come out on stage, even though he's been coy about, will he make a cameo in Deadpool? Will he make a cameo in X-Men Apocalypse? Wouldn't it be nice if he at least came out on stage?
Wouldn't it be nice?
Have Wolverine, and he's already said his final Wolverine movie will be, you know, the third Wolverine movie that James Mangold is coming back to direct. The guy did the Wolverine.
Right.
So maybe there'll be some sort of announcement about that, maybe in the title, or him confirming, yeah, I'll be in the movie.
All right, so we have a little time to kill here. We were talking about movie predictions earlier on the show today. We didn't have enough time to get around to what I hope to see. Let me run this by you.
Okay.
Anything about Godzilla 2?
Here,
or casting?
Maybe it's a few years. Gareth Edwards busy doing Rogue One.
Right.
So I have a feeling probably not. You'll probably get something more on Kong Skull Island.
That's all. Yes. What else is going to happen?
Yep. And I really liked. Geez, what did I see just recently? Oh, I saw. Oh well, actually, I'm going to give a little plug for a short film that I just saw this morning. Sanjay's Super Team.
I heard about
this.
It's
a Pixar short, and Sanjay Patel, the Pixar, and he is Indian American, and he. This film is about kind of his own personal story of reconnecting with his father and his dad's sort of traditional Hindu, his Hindu traditions through the power of superheroes, and these Hindu deities kind of come to life. And I really liked Ant-Man. I really liked. Yep, and I really liked. Geez, what did I see just recently? Oh, I saw. Oh well, actually, I'm going to give a little. Director works at Pixar and have all set out Comic-Con.
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight is going to. They have a panel on Saturday. That one I can't wait to see. I mean, Kurt Russell, Sam Jackson in a movie together. Walt Goggins, and Jennifer Jason Leigh is actually one of the main characters, and then Bruce Dern, Michael Madsen, Tim Roth. I'm running out of a cast list on Hateful Eight. The big cast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at Comic-Con, obviously. We're waiting on some talent to arrive. As I gaze over the throngs of crowds, I'm wondering if there's any big cosplayers we can see out here.
what you do, what you hopefully, if you're on, if you're in San Diego, you're walking around, there are mark them two competing Satan shows. I should say Antichrist shows. We have Damien.
Went to TV. Now we're doing a TV series on this incredible story. It's a dark, dangerous, it's extremely. I call it realistically terrifying.
So are they going to kill you by the 7th episode too?
Yeah, I'm lucky to get through the pilot. But it's basically what would the world be like 300 years from now if we successfully colonize our solar system? There's no faster than light travel. There's no artificial gravity. It's really what it would be like. I mean, you guys this Mars One mission going to Mars right now?
Yeah, it sounds like it would probably suck.
It's kind of insane, right?
Yes.
It's one-way ticket to Mars. You're going to go to Mars, colonize it, and die.
Yeah.
So my character is a character called Alex Kamal, and he is a Martian, born on Mars. He's probably a descendant of these crazy nuts that are going to Mars now. And it's 200 years in the future. Now, the whole population in the asteroid belt between Saturn and Jupiter, mining it for its resources. So that crazy kind of economy that we have on the world now has now spread into the solar system, creating dissent and conflict and resentment and tensions between Earth, Mars, the belt, which is, we call them belters.
Mm-hmm. That sounds racist.
It's a little racist. But we don't have racism anymore because it's planetism.
Yeah. Oh, so you've actually made racism bigger.
Exactly.
Than racism.
Yeah, we wanted to upgrade it.
With colonization, you frequently run into troubles with that, especially when there's a kind of a long divide there. I mean, I'm guessing there's going to be themes kind of similar to like the American Revolution, where
exactly.
it's like
there's a lot of conspiracy. There's a war brewing. There's tensions brewing. There's a lot of money at stake. There's corporations. There's scientists. There's the government. Earth is a government now, an entire government run by the United Nations, and everyone's detecting that there's somebody trying to start a war. Nobody knows who it is, and Mars has become a superpower. Their tech and their culture has made them kind of the equivalent of the U.S. in terms of power in the solar system. And there's somebody between Earth and Mars, and we don't know what.
Well, it's definitely very high concept. Like clearly there's a lot of pieces there.
Yeah.
What's it been like filming that?
Pretty amazing, actually. It's a gift. We have a creative team that's been second to none that I've worked on before. Our writers, like I said, our best-selling authors. Our writers for the pilot are the guys who wrote Iron Man 1. Said you got a chair, you got a little computer terminal, and then green screen behind you, and they fill that all in with CGI because to build that is immense. It's a hugely expensive, time-consuming process. On the Expanse, they built it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Because I'm a sucker for practical effects, and I think if you're really gonna, like you made the Game of Thrones comparison, they're awesome about doing location shoots.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just, from what I've seen of the show, it seems like there's a, for lack of a better word, a sense of real space.
Absolutely. Well, we've taken over like 3 of the biggest studios in Toronto. I can't even remember how many hundreds of thousands of square feet of studio space. We've built. It's 3 different worlds in the show. There's the world of Earth, which is Shore's world. The character's name is Avasarala. It's the whole United Nation political. It's kind of like the West Wing. Mm-hmm. Then you have the world of Thomas Jane, which is Detective Miller. It's kind of like a quirky, damaged, broken Columbo in space.
Sort of hard-boiled kind of guy.
Yeah, and he's trying to solve this mysterious disappearance of this girl who's the daughter of this the most powerful man in the solar system, and he's tracking her across the solar system, and he lives on an asteroid, inside an asteroid that has been carved out and turned into a living planet. Oh, wow. And so you have that whole set that's built. It's all stone and rock and rough, and then you have our set, which is my gang is the crew of the Rocinante, which is an incredible piece of equipment. It's a spaceship, Mars technology, and we have this entire ship built for us. And so all 3 of these storylines are going simultaneously, chasing various aspects of this conspiracy and mystery, and then we all converge as the series progresses.
So did you get the best hand dealt to you of these 3 sets? It sounds like the rock thing, living inside of an asteroid.
You a Firefly fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am too.
Yeah.
that's a good comparison.
I'm on the Firefly part of the story.
Okay, so that rules.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, you mentioned that there's no faster to light travel, so presumably it does take time to get from one place
Takes
to
an
another.
immense amount of time, and they have invented an engine called the Epstein drive that can go incredibly fast, but still not the speed of light. And the problem is that again in the real world, that speed does immense amount of damage to the human body. Once you're going 20, 40 Gs, 80 Gs, like any kind of speed that you can actually in your lifetime get to a reasonable place, it's literally going to crush you like a bug on a rock. So in our world, we've actually had to create this chemical cocktail called juice that they inject before any high G travel. That's steroids and blood thinners and anticoagulants and stimulants, just to keep your brain alive, keep you from stroking out, keep your lungs from collapsing, and your heart from stopping.
So it's like an energy drink?
It's basically, yeah. It's
Jägermeister?
kind of like Red Bull.
Yeah.
It's a Jaeger bomb.
It's a Jaeger bomb.
You do Jaeger bombs.
It's a Jaeger bomb.
Hey, we got it. We're gonna go pound some holes in those rocks up there.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
We should actually get Red Bull to sponsor now, and they can be our juice.
Sure.
Juice
They
sponsor.
have gone to space. It's not that far fetched.
Yeah, exactly.
No one has ever let Jaeger to space, though.
No, this is
have
true.
We have to keep stopping that. From
Jaeger
happening.
bomb.
So when does this all come out? When do people
This is
see that?
coming out in December. I don't know the exact date yet, but definitely December this year. And for those special people here at Comic-Con, we're doing a panel on Saturday at 4 p.m. at the Hilton Bayfront in the Indigo Room. And those lucky 1,500, 2,000 people are going to see the pilot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Get in your cars right now
Yeah.
if you're not here. Fly
And
immediately, crawl, swim, get over here.
What
Epstein drive. Get over here.
Get
Count
in the
those
Epstein
Jaeger
drive,
bombs.
yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah, anyway.
We're going to get a bunch of Jaeger bomb kids. I don't know why I called them kids, just showing up to your panel now.
Yo, I heard there's a show about doing Jaeger bombs in space.
Those underage Jaeger bomb kids?
It's the world's worst gang.
Yeah.
Is it like hour-long episodes or half hour? Or is
It's a
it
1 hour drama, and I said drama.
You
so
said
now
drama.
you know I'm
Okay.
Canadian.
Oh yeah, you let it slip.
Okay.
It's like a Cylon.
It's a 1 hour drama, and it's like the music and the special effects, and it's just phenomenal. I watched the pilot a couple of days ago. They did a private screening, and I was mind blown.
All right. Well, we'll probably hear what the general public makes of it pretty soon. We're doing plenty of coverage right here at Comic-Con. Am I chucking a Damon right now? No? Okay. Well, stay tuned. We have more stuff coming up real soon. Some of it's live and weird stuff like that happens. Take it easy, guys.
Welcome back to IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Damon. This is our comics editor, Joshua Yell. Hello. We are joined now by the powers that be. Joshua, who are our friends over here?
We got Brian Michael Bendis, writer of Power, co-creator of Powers, and the artist, also co-creator, Michael Avon Oming, and Rami Abashan, the showrunner for Powers.
Hello.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah. Glad to be here.
Powers, PlayStation's first original series, is out there. Season 1 is complete. what has the reaction for you guys been like watching people see Powers for the first time?
Well, I bet these guys have more of a reaction since they've lived with it for, what, 250 years?
Yeah,
around there.
yeah.
And to see it suddenly come to life, I know I've watched Brian's face light up in about 15 different colors when it's actually been realized, and Mike's images, which influenced us all in the first season in terms of his, vibrant approach to finding characters up in your face and stuff like that. We tried to capture that as best we could in the film. So I think the audience has pretty much reacted to it the same way that they've reacted to the long-running book. Am I right about that, guy?
Yeah, no, I mean, we had that weird experience of talking about this for many years, and there was just people who, and they were right to not believe us that there was something being worked on, but
15
now
years of production.
Yeah, but now that the show came out, we had this great experience of people watching it weekly, and now they can watch the whole season at once. And now here comes the Blu-ray and DVDs coming, and they're binging it, and we had enough people watch it where we got a second season. So how it feels great. The people are like, how will you know if the show worked? Like that they gave us a second season, and
there
so,
you go.
Yeah, so it's really the only way you know. So we feel very good, and we're actually taking a break from the writers' room to come here to talk to you. We're knee deep in it as we speak. So
thank you so much for coming. Yeah. So season 2. Let's talk about season 2. What so much happened in the season 1 finale. Characters died, and characters got powers. So what can we expect for season 2?
Well.
Even cooler stuff.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, we tried to take what we thought was the great thrust and movement of the first season and then just try to double that for the second season. And that's kind of what we're working on in the writer's room right now, trying to, we've got a lot of gas going from the end of the first season, and we're hoping to take that and really push that and amp it up so that we're not going to give, actually, the theory is that we don't want to give the fans any time to take a breath during the second season.
It's like a building of momentum, and then with the second season, it's like,
yeah. And no spoilers, but the first question on everyone's minds coming to the second season is who killed Retro Girl, which happens to be the title of our first ever graphic novel of Powers. And though the events may not mirror what happened in the book, the importance of that storyline and what it means to the overall universe of Powers, absolutely. It's the biggest superhero in the world. She's been murdered. Everyone's a suspect until proven otherwise. And it's an impossible murder. She's the strongest superhero, and yet she's been murdered. And that case is laying in front of our detectives. And it will literally change the Powers universe, no matter what the outcome.
Yeah, that was one heck of a way to start the series, and now to finally get the experience on the show, that's going to be really awesome. But speaking of the book, Michael, you and Brian are back on the actual Powers comic book. You relaunched it. Are you doing anything special to make the comic book a little more accessible to those who have found the show?
Well, every new #1 you assume is somebody's first issue. Actually, every issue of the book you assume is somebody's first issue. But definitely with the relaunch to match with the show, we wanted to be able to set up something that was easier for people to come into. So you could start with this first issue, having not read anything, and you'll get into it. Especially because the first issue is largely about Dina, and then we explore her character and then bring Walker in. So it's kind of a reboot for the book as well. So it works out for anybody.
Yeah, this isn't too different from how I think of things when I'm working on my Marvel books and there's movies surrounding those books sometimes. And like I was on Avengers when Avengers hit, but if you read my Avengers title, there's Luke Cage and Spider-Woman. But what I learned this actually early on at Marvel when I was working on Daredevil. I was waiting for a call that they were going to tell me make it more like the movie Daredevil, and instead our publisher said, "Oh no, they've seen the movie. Let's give them something else. Let's take that experience and not repeat it or do a mirror of it. Let's push them along and get them involved." So we look at the comic in the same way, where if you've seen the show, where our comic is actually a few years ahead in the timeline of a version of these characters. So enjoy that. Like if you're hungry, if you're waiting for season 2.
and you can't wait till next year when we debut it. Come read some comics. It's all there, and you'll have a unique experience, yet one that hopefully will satisfy. And I had that like on Guardians of the Galaxy. People who saw that movie had not experienced the comic book in great numbers, and so they were all buying our book, and we're getting an experience that was similar yet different, and it was scratching the itch.
Yeah, like what's Venom doing in here?
No, but that's good. That gets the people like when there's some kids I know. One kid saw that Venom was on the team, but he knew Venom and he knew the Guardians, and he go, oh, I got to read this.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
So, gentlemen, unfortunately, we're running short on time. Last question, Brian. Now that Marvel has the Star Wars license, do you have any interest in writing a Star Wars comic?
I do. And I have been offered, and this is the high classiest, braggiest thing ever. There's so many cool things on my plate. I just have to pick the ones. Sure. You know what I mean? And when I read Jason Aaron's Star Wars, I go, I can't do better than that. It's like, that's really great. So I don't feel like that, like a social urge to right or wrong. Sure. But if I remember that secret origin of Yoda that I invented when I was 10, I'll run to the offices. I go, I got it. But
I'd like to read that.
But when there's other books that are coming down the pike that will pique your interest. Not everything from Marvel has been announced. So.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by the show.
Thank you.
Powers, you can watch it now on PlayStation. Season 2 is coming next year. Stay tuned. Much more to come here from Comic-Con Live at IGN after these messages. Welcome back to the show, everybody. IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Damon Hatfield. This is Brian Altano. Hey. Steve Butts, and we're joined by John Vignacchi to talk about
Hey,
Disney
what's
Infinity
going on, guys?
3.0.
Wow, energy, there we go. We're bringing it up.
This is what's going on
Well,
here.
because the lights have been dark for the past few minutes.
Now it's
rolling advertisements in the background, so I was like, time to start screaming again to bring up the energy in here.
You are like a coffee that's a man.
coffee man.
We're alive now. Here we are.
I've been described a lot of things, but a coffee that is a man is
first time.
That's what Vignacchi means.
That's right. I used to write. They don't let me anymore. That's why.
So
I've brought some toys.
let's look at some toys.
Look at these wonderful toys.
It's nice of you to give these to us. These are
is that?
Specifically, it was nice of you to give me that Darth Vader right there.
Really
I
nice.
knew somehow when I was going to come on the show, I wasn't actually going to leave with any of them. Actually, it's funny. At E3, I was on your guys' stage, and we actually did a special announcement that we're doing a partnership with Sony. With a Sony exclusive Star Wars Saga starter pack, and I gave one of these to Max.
Yeah, and I didn't get one, and I was really sad about that.
This-
We're all really sad.
Brian, that's for you.
Suck it, Max.
Oh, yes, there it is. Look at this. It's Christmas in July.
Yeah,
Oh my
but
God, this is awesome.
You got some new guys here that you're showing off at Comic-Con,
Got
right?
some new guys, yeah, absolutely. So we announced that Hulkbuster and Ultron from our Marvel family will be joining the Disney Infinity 3.0 game this fall. We also announced we've got a Marvel playset where all the 2.0 characters can play with all of these new characters. And today at Comic-Con, for the first time, we're actually showing Ultron and Hulkbuster playable inside of Disney Infinity 3.0.
Yeah, these are great. I mean, Disney's obviously got a huge reputation with toy manufacturing. You've done a fantastic job with these.
Hopefully a
Sculpt's
good
great.
one. Yeah, okay.
no, I think
well,
it's,
thank
I think
you.
it's great.
We have your cosign then. I guess that's really, this is really good. Yeah, actually the sculpt for Ultron and Hulkbuster went through many, many layers of approval with the guys at Marvel. You know, Buckley, Joe Quesada, Peter Phillips, Chris Fondacaro, all those guys have really taken a look and worked closely with our team to try to make sure that they really, you know, had the correct spirit of all those different Marvel characters and had the right poses and felt right. So we actually want to make them almost like they're collectible.
Right.
So you can pass the discerning eye of the Marvel collector, but then still ultimately be a cool figure for a kid's video game.
So what is that spirit? Like when you're talking about getting this right, like what elements have to be present in this for it to be Marvel?
One of the big things with the Marvel characters, and this is true in terms of the Star Wars characters as well, is capturing the moment of anticipation. And so that's something that our art team at Avalanche Software, which develops Disney Infinity, works very, very hard to do. Just kind of like that moment almost where when you're looking at them, it feels like you can actually see them alive. The next thing you know, they're gonna do something crazy.
Cool. Well, Avengers came in 2.0, but the big story for 3.0 for a lot of people is the Star Wars
Yeah,
line,
that's
right?
right. And actually up on screen right now for everyone watching on IGN, we actually have, we're showing you the beginning of the Rise Against the Empire playset. So this particular playset is going to be coming out a month after our launch, which we officially announced is August 30th, Sunday, August 30th. And so you're going to be able to play through Twilight of the Republic, which is a playset set during episodes 1 through 3, and then Rise Against the Empire, which is on screen right now, which retells some iconic moments from the Star Wars episodes 4 through 6, a classic trilogy, as they call it. So, you know, kind of a very fun experience, and something that's cool and it's different that we haven't done before is actually all the different Star Wars characters can play inside all the different Star Wars playsets. So we've announced there's this Twilight of the Republic playset that Ninja Theory is working on. We've announced that there's this Rise Against the Empire playset that you see right now. We've also announced the Star Wars Episode 7 playset, which we're going to drop in conjunction with the film. So all the different characters, whether Episode 7 or Episodes 4 through 6, can play in each other's playsets and participate in kind of fun stories.
You're being a lot broader too, though, because I know in the previous iterations, you know, like Cars is a racing game, Lone Ranger is kind of a shooting gallery, but Star Wars has chases, and we're seeing melee combat here. It's got space battles. It's got kind of everything you want.
Yeah, it has a little bit of everything. I mean, so primarily the Rise Against the Empire playset that you're seeing right now is about vehicles and exploration. Because inside of episodes 4 through 6, I mean, let's be honest, some of those vehicles, like, you know, X-Wings, the Millennium Falcon, TIE Fighters, some of those are actually as iconic as the characters themselves. Yeah, sure. And so we actually wanted to really focus that particular playset on exploration and visiting all those different locations that you remember from the films. Now, the Twilight of the Republic playset, which comes with the starter pack, that one's all about lightsaber combat. That's all about recreating, you know, feeling like the most badass Jedi in the galaxy. And that's the playset that the team at Ninja Theory has been working on. And they've done a lot to rewrite our combat system and lend their expertise to help make the game really fluid and a lot of fun.
Most badass Jedi in the galaxy, is that a Disney-approved marketing term?
Actually,
okay.
like, I can see this. Yeah, someone in the background from PR shaking their head like,
now
you said ass, I can't believe it.
You keep saying they're all the characters. That's a very scary rabbit hole for me as a figurine collector and a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
How deep can this possibly go? There are a lot of very awesome, very obscure Star Wars characters that got action figures before.
Walrus Man.
So, Walrus Man.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
good old Ponda Baba.
Our bench is deep, bro.
Yeah.
I think I've said that before. And I mean, when you actually look across, jokes aside, when you look across, you know, the Star Wars saga itself and all the different incredible characters, there are so many characters that you can possibly do. And it was a crazy challenge for us to actually narrow that list down of characters. It really made a lot of sense for us to do. So, you know, we look at it in a couple of different ways. We look at what characters would be fun to play as, what characters are popping in terms of popularity. Of course, Lucasfilm has like all of this data. One of the anecdotal kind of funny stories was I saw Jar Jar was pretty high up on the list. And I'm like, well, that's got to be because people hate him, right? And they're like, no, actually, it's because kids know episodes 1 through 3, and that's actually a popular character with kids.
Right, and children are historically wrong.
Well, the funny thing about it is that, I mean, for us, it wasn't about just doing a piece of content based on episode 7 or episodes 4 through 6. We knew, like, for the true Star Wars fan like yourself, we had to do content across the entire saga. And so there's still a ton more characters that we can do, a ton more stories that we can tell, and hopefully this is just the beginning of Star Wars integration.
Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru.
That's right.
Yeah. General Dodonna.
All the weird droids in the
General
Jawas.
Grievous.
Right.
I mean, it's like, yeah. And of course, we integrated Rebels as well. Have you been watching the animated series?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we integrated Star Wars Rebels. We've announced our first 4 characters from Rebels, and they'll be playable inside of all these playsets as well.
Cool.
So that'll be really cool.
So what do you get out of the box? You buy the starter set. Where are you beginning with?
Yeah.
this?
So in our starter pack, it comes with Anakin, Ahsoka, and the Twilight of the Republic playset piece. It comes with the Infinity base, which you plug into your console in order to play as all these great characters, and of course the software. That's coming out this year for $64.99. So normally it's been $74.99. But this year we thought, if we've got great gameplay and we've got Star Wars fans and Star Wars content inside of there, we really, really want to put it out there at a good price, a good value for consumers. So it's only $5 more than a typical video game, but it comes with toys and cool stuff like that. So
Plus, you'll make that money back when you sell hundreds of action figures.
yeah, your lips to God's ears, my man.
What's the play experience like on the Marvel side?
Now this is where Steve gets me into trouble with his questions. So while we have announced the Marvel playset, Steve, we have not announced what the content is of that yet.
Oh, that's great. It's the perfect place to do it then.
Right here on the
Why
world's
else
biggest
are you
video
here?
site.
I've been a part of planning meetings actually this past week where we're talking about how are we going to announce this playset and where are we going to announce this playset. So that I didn't waste
Just
my
cowboy,
time this
do it
week
right
at
now.
work. Yeah, I totally should, right? But here's what I can tell you. I can tell you all the Marvel 2.0 characters will play inside of this new 3.0 playset. I think a lot of people are speculating what's it about. It does feature an original story, but that's about as far as I'm going to go with it. Attempt to leave you clamoring for more.
I got a
He's
toy,
done a
so
good
I'm
job.
happy.
He's done a good job.
We're seeing some toy box stuff here. Is this new toy box?
Yeah, so Disney Infinity is broken into 2 sections. There's play sets, which tell an original story that's true to property for the fan of the franchise. And then there's the toy box mode where all these different characters can come together. So this year we've got 2 different, they're called toy box expansion games. One's called the Toy Box Speedway, and it's a kart racer developed by Sumo Digital. Those guys did Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing. So they came in, worked on our engine, did some really, really cool stuff with it to make a really, really great kart racer. And then we have another one called the Toy Box Takeover, where the actual villains steal this magic wand that kids use to build and create and edit things in the toy box. And it's up to you to take any of your characters, whether Disney, Marvel, Pixar, or Lucasfilm, and go and find this wand back. But I think what we had wanted to do was show, we got a little bit of footage here of actual Hulkbuster himself, some of his new moves that he has inside of the game. He plays a lot different than Iron Man does, which is a character we released with last year's version of Disney Infinity. And one of the cool things about Hulkbuster, just in terms of character, he's incredibly powerful. He has the ability to fly, he's got repulsor rays, and of course, just like all things in Infinity, the characters can be leveled up. We're actually playing with a totally leveled up Hulkbuster right now. He's actually level 20. That was a super move right there, and we've added some cool camera cuts and things like that when you're actually going and defeating enemies. So that's a quick look at Hulkbuster and some of the stuff that he's got. He's got skill trees. I mean, obviously for a 7-minute segment, I can't really go into as much detail as I want to. I'm talking as fast as I can. I'm sweating again. But you're like, yeah. But maybe we could show Ultron now.
Yeah, your passion is definitely showing through. And all these IPs also have toy set elements that you can play with and build your own levels.
Yeah,
to play.
exactly. So inside of our toy box mode, that's where players can really use their imagination to build and create, and use a variety of different tools that we've made to tell their own stories, to become the story creator themselves. And this year we've made it easier than ever. We actually have a community hub inside of the game now that features all the latest and greatest, coolest designs by our community. And it's actually, we've recreated the El Capitan Theater from Los Angeles, the Disney-owned movie theater. And where the movie posters are, we're actually putting up posters of the user-generated content with the user's name to really celebrate our community and what they've built. And so the cool thing is that with some of the new tools that we've put inside of the game this year, we put actually a spline editor in there now, so you can actually tag things like cameras to create your own cinematics. We've got text editors inside of there, so people can kind of create top-down RPGs if they want to. And so what's fun about this is that as Disney, the strongest thing that we have is our characters, right? And so at the end of 3.0's life cycle, we're going to have over 100 of these playable characters inside of Disney Infinity. And some of the stuff that we believe we're going to start seeing from the community that they're building, using all these characters and mashing these characters up in the toy box is going to be totally epic.
Well, John, we actually have a question for you from one of our viewers on Twitter. Remember, if you have questions, you can tweet them at IGN with hashtag IGN Live, just like Zalman did. The Lion King win?
Yeah, so, all right, Zalman, so here's the deal.
Yoda wrote that question.
So the deal is that we're always adding new characters. One of the things that we've been talking about is what is the right point to introduce quadrupeds into the game? Because quadrupeds obviously animate a lot different, or in a totally different beast than bipeds are. So while I'm not going to confirm anything right now, we are looking into it, we're investigating it, and as soon as we can, We know there's a lot of Simba fans out there, a lot of Nala fans out there, and we have a responsibility to deliver to them.
I think it's fascinating that your holdup is their number of legs and not how will Ultron fight Mufasa.
No, they're going to be on the same side, right?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they got to team up.
There's a great story of back in the day when we were talking to corporate brand, and we were talking about integrating Simba, and then we were also talking about integrating Raja from Aladdin. And there was this whole thing of, well, so what happens when Simba attempts to ride Raja? And I mean, these are like, you know, it's wonderful. It's like
This is your job. You get paid to do this. Yeah.
I thought we had weird conversations at work. That is something special.
John, what's the release date again?
August 30th in North America and August 28th over in the UK.
All right, Disney Infinity 3.0. John, thank you so much for coming by
Yeah,
the show.
thanks for the opportunity to be here, and thank you guys for watching.
Stay tuned. Still more to come from IGN Live here at Comic-Con right after this.
I'm Ant-Man. John! On July 17th,
We have to stop him.
a new hero.
I got this. Let's fly.
Arrives. You can't stop me. You're just an insect.
Oh, that's good. You just come up with that?
Marvel's Ant-Man. Rated PG-13. Experience the world through a new lens. The LG G4. See the great. Feel the great.
Get a leather back cover, extra battery, and battery charging cradle free when you buy the LG G4.
What's up, everybody? Josh Riel here with the man, the myth, the legend, Joe Quesada here at San Diego Comic-Con. What's up, Joe?
Joshua, how are you, man?
Very good, man.
Hey, excuse me for 1 second. It's really early in the morning. Hold on. Sorry.
He brought the cup of Joe. Awesome. Right here on the IGN balcony.
You think it's coffee. You think it's coffee.
It looks pretty good. So, Joe, you are the Chief Creative Officer of Marvel, which, correct me if I'm wrong, means whenever a comic makes a jump to another medium like TV or movies, you are there to make sure it retains the integrity of the property, make sure everyone's in character, make sure everything looks right. Is that correct?
That's a great way of describing it. You don't need me for anything.
Yeah.
No, I mean, but I'm also involved in the comic division as well. Yeah, animation, movies, television, any translation of our characters. I'm there. I'm working on story. I'm working on design. It's a pretty cool job. I like to tell people that I get paid to do what I used to get yelled in school for doing, which is basically sitting around all day, daydreaming, coming up with stories, doodling. I used to get yelled at all the time for that, and now I make a living at it. So I'm very, very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing.
Cool. What's your day-to-day like? Can you give me an example of maybe a decision you made or something you did where in a movie or a TV show, where can we see the Joe Quesada effect?
I never like to point to things and say, oh, that's mine, because really at Marvel, it's a group effort. It really is, and no one idea, no matter how original it is, comes from just the ether. It's always one thing building upon another thing, building upon another. But just an example of what my day-to-day is like. I was just meeting with one of our designers, had breakfast, and we were going over some designs for one of our TV shows, for one of our characters who's getting a new outfit. I'm not going to tell you who. Not going to tell you, but this is a constant thing, right? So, I will talk to our designer. Now, when I'm done with you guys, I'm going to run back. I'm going to steal the coffee, by the way. I'm going to run back to my hotel room. I'm going to email the rest of the guys and talk about our theories on the design, and then emailing starts back and forth, artwork goes back and forth, and that's just one aspect of what I'm doing. I've had tons of scripts to read in my room, lots of stuff. So it's a fun job in the sense that I never have to deal with numbers. It's all creative.
Sure. Right now in the comic books, there's a lot of status quos that have been upturned. Thor is a woman. Sam Wilson is new Captain America. Are you excited or eager, or do you have any desire to bring any of those big status quo changes to the movies?
I'm always excited about all of our stories and all of our characters. I never like this. I've learned a long time ago that in the position that I'm in, it's very difficult for me to say, I'm excited about this and I would love to see it as a movie, because then what happens is it starts a floodgate, opening a floodgate of fans are like, where's the movie, where's the movie? Or the other part of it, which is, that I have confirmed that a certain character will be getting a movie. So I try to avoid sort of delving in those waters. I love all
anything you say becomes a headline.
It gets misinterpreted as a headline.
Sure.
And it's not anything I say, but I've learned that there's certain key phrases that I have to stay away from and key questions I have to stay away from. The truth of the matter is that I love when we do stuff like that, especially when the stories are great. I love when we twist things around and show the flexibility of our characters and how wonderful these icons are, and moving them forward and gender switches, ethnicity changes. It doesn't matter. It's all the beauty of the Marvel universe. And to me, as long as the stories are great, I'm along for the ride. I'm enjoying it. And yes, anything can be possible. You can see any of these characters show up anywhere, and that includes animation. It includes our TV shows. But what's going to happen, I'm not allowed to say.
Sure, of course. We have a social question from you, some from the IGN community. Sorry, I don't know who said this, but
hello, IGN community.
Yes.
Hello.
It says, so excited for Spider-Man joining the MCU. Have you seen Tom Holland's costume?
I have. Yes.
Does it look good?
What do you think?
I would
looks
hope
awesome.
so. Okay.
It looks awesome. I've seen a lot of design work that's been done in the costume, and I think there are elements of it that are really going to blow people away, where they're going to go, that's Marvel doing Spider-Man.
Okay. In the Amazing Spider-Man, they had the first costume was very different. It almost looked like a Nike sneaker with like the sleek design. But then they went to the more traditional one. Is Tom Holland gonna be wearing a more traditional Spider-Man outfit?
You're trying to trick me. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I played this game before.
Sure. How about this? Is he gonna have the web shooters? That's always a thing. Like
I'm not gonna play this game.
Okay.
No. Wait for the announcements. Things will. Things will be revealed as they're meant to be revealed.
Okay. So. How about this? Just what are you most excited about having Spider-Man back in the Marvel sandbox, as far as the movies go?
It's Spider-Man. What's not exciting about that? I mean, look. I can't imagine that there's a person on planet Earth that can't relate to some aspect of Spider-Man or Peter Parker, and he is, for all intents and purposes, he is Marvel's Mickey Mouse, right? He is the icon that so much of what we have was built upon. So to be able to create that movie along with our Sony partners, it's phenomenally exciting, And I know. Kevin Feige and his team, they've got some great ideas, some wonderful theories that we've all chimed in on, and it's what's funny about Spider-Man is that it's you sit there and you're at a creative meeting and everybody goes, well, what about this? Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what we, yeah, what about that? Yeah, well, yeah, that's what we should be doing, right? That's Spider-Man. We all seem to be of the same mind about Spider-Man, because there's certain aspects of the character that are just iconic, and have been perfect since the moment they were created.
So let's switch to Marvel TV. Daredevil came and it was a big hit, got a great response, and it really was a dark take on the character, different, the dark corner of the Marvel universe. Right. Are you eager to explore that in season 2 and all the other Netflix series?
Yeah, well, I don't want to speak too much about the other series because each one has their own flavor, but it is the smaller, darker part of the Marvel universe. I always say that while the Avengers are about saving the world, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all the characters, they're about saving a neighborhood. They're about saving a block. They're about saving an apartment complex. So it's smaller, but the stakes still feel the same because they're just as important to the people living in Hell's Kitchen. Saving their neighborhood is as important to the people in Manhattan when aliens started coming out of a portal in the sky, and the Avengers came to save them. The other big difference is also that these characters live in the neighborhood. Daredevil lives in Hell's Kitchen, so it's very, very personal. But through the Netflix platform, we're able to explore a much darker sensibility, a much more adult sensibility, and even the choreography, the fights, and the action, I think is head and shoulders above anything else that's on television. And that is just a testimonial to the incredible crew and cast that we have.
Definitely. And Daredevil being a part of season 2 is sort of the really big surprise that nobody really saw coming. So there's also the worry of that because Punisher's such a big character in himself that he might take over too much of the series? Like, how do you play the balancing act between making still a Daredevil show while doing justice to the Punisher?
You know, that's why we pay our amazing writers' room the big bucks. You know, Doug Petrie and Marco Ramirez, our co-showrunners on the show, have concocted an amazing season this year. And believe me, you know, sparks will fly, and it's going to be pretty phenomenal. But look, we're so happy to have John Bernthal because we have such a world-class cast on Daredevil, and you know, and we have such a world-class actor in Charlie Cox that you wanted to make sure that we chose and were able to attain an actor who was on that same level. So I think the combination of seeing Charlie and John perform those parts on the same screen, it's going to be epic, absolutely epic.
So cool. Also, you know, Elektra was announced. She's joining the cast. Is she going to pick a side on this conflict, or is she sort of a wild card in between?
Again, you have to watch the show.
Sure.
But again, I can't say enough about Little Chung. Literally, we scoured the world looking for just the right Elektra, and man, she is the character. She looks like the character. She walks like it, and then she has the martial arts training and stunt background that she can rely on. It's gonna be really, really awesome to see her take over the role and see how she embodies it and how she personifies Elektra. But again, another world-class actor who I think is going to bring something really special to Daredevil. And I think we established a really good template with season 1, so fans can hopefully expect much more of the same.
Sure. And you know, you've been here. You've been at many Comic-Cons. You know, and as many different roles. You know, as artist, as editor-in-chief, now here as chief creative officer. What has you most excited for this Comic-Con?
You know, it's funny. They start to blur after a while. For me, it's always the same thing. I only do 2 conventions a year now. I do this and I do New York, and maybe on occasion I'll throw in a third, but lately it's only been 2 a year. The fans. It's really about meeting, all you guys out there and getting to say hi and getting to answer questions, and I do one signing, I think, on Saturday. To me, that's it. And also, I get to catch up with a lot of business associates, people that I've needed to meet with. So there's a little bit of a business aspect to it, but really, it's just 1 or 2 times a year that I get to be a fan amongst the fans and enjoy the medium.
Cool, great. Joe, thank you so much for being here. Joe with a cup of Joe, everybody. This has been awesome. Marvel's Chief Creative Officer. For all things Marvel, for all things from Joe, everything is, we're going to stay tuned to your Cup of Joe panel.
Sure. Yes,
we expect a big surprise.
Absolutely.
Keep it right here on IGN.
Thanks.
IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by the all-new LG G4.
Welcome back, IGN Live at Comic-Con. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Jim Vivoda and Scott Kalura, a couple of IGN's guys who get the news and stuff about movies and things. I was trying to think of like a good euphemism for reporters, but
IGN's best and brightest.
Best and brightest. Yes, a couple of bright-eyed youngsters on the beat. We got a huge piece of news. We got a really exciting piece. I think this is the first thing I've heard at Comic-Con that makes my ears perk right up. Tell us about this news.
All right, so Deadline is reporting, and they're a big reputable outlet, that Ben Affleck will team with Jeff Johns, will co-write with Jeff Johns, star in and direct a standalone Batman movie. Let that sink in
Yep,
for a minute.
totally. Yes, completely.
Yes,
I'm
Ben Affleck.
I'm so on board with that. That sounds awesome.
So we had heard about this. I mean, we'd heard rumors for probably at least a year.
Yeah,
right, that this
yeah.
could maybe happen. And
Just
obviously-
recently too, there were some more.
Just recently,
resurfaced,
So,
yeah.
And obviously, Batman is like the marquee character for DC. So how could they not? I mean,
Right.
But the fact that Affleck is directing it and co-writing it is really interesting.
I mean, it really is awesome. And also it makes you wonder: will they bring in Jared Leto's Joker from Suicide Squad? And Harley Quinn, like, will it be, or are they going to go? There's also Killer Croc too. Like, so how much of the Suicide Squad villains, because there's so many Bat villains in that movie, might show up in this standalone Batman movie? What will the story be? I'm pretty sure, the fact that BVS is starting with an older Batman coming out of retirement, basically like Dark Knight Returns. Will this be a prequel, like years before when he was still, or will it take place after BVS?
I'm really open to whatever. I think that people have that kind of knee-jerk reaction to hearing Ben Affleck doing anything because we still have that Ben Affleck Jennifer Lopez thing. We have that Gigli era stuff in our mind. We think Jersey Girl, but like the dude also did Gone Girl, which was badass. Like
he did direct Argo, which won Best Picture, and he did The Town. So I think Ben's out of the doghouse now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the idea of the prequel is really intriguing because we've heard hints that possibly there'll be references to a dead Robin or something in Suicide Squad. So maybe we would get that backstory in a film like this.
Yeah, maybe they'll do kind of like a version of Death in the Family. You know? That'd be kind of intense. And you could see like Leto's Joker being the guy that would beat him for good.
And there's such a rich well of Batman stories in the modern era that they can go to. I mean, Batman has a kid, right, in the comics nowadays?
He's got Damian,
Yeah, so Damian Wayne, another Robin, you could get into that whole aspect.
How do you approach that though without completely there are the people who are following the comics closely, every little twist and turn in development, and then there's people who just kind of want the movie going public, the general kind of like, where's Batman? He's going to fight the Joker, right? Bring out the Joker. Let's see this,
I think you can make it work as long as it's a good movie, right? We've seen so many movies where it's just the same Batman who never advances in the old, the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher era, right? It was like he got the girlfriend by the end of each movie who was then gone by the next movie.
Right.
So I think Marvel Studios has helped in a big way where audiences are able to latch on to more continuity. I think we can make it work.
Yeah. This is definitely the first thing I think that makes me I think I really have a lot more faith in the DC cinematic universe hearing this announcement because I mean Affleck's a big fan. Like he's always you see him.
Well, I mean it's also like
with Kevin Smith.
He does because he is such an acclaimed director.
I'm sorry. Also, I meant to say Gone Baby Gone, not
Baby
Gone
Gone,
Girl.
yeah.
He was in
He
Gone
was
Girl.
in Gone Girl.
I don't want to sound like a Ben Affleck casual or anything.
You're still holding Bennifer against him. That's what it is.
I do wonder, does this mean we'll get Casey Affleck as Robin? Or Matt Damon?
Okay, that would probably put him back in the doghouse.
In his A-lister buddies to be in these movies,
And of course, but now it's a shared universe, a standalone Batman movie probably is going to have some other hero show up at some point. So
maybe Green Arrow, maybe the new the movie version of Green Arrow. Sorry, ML. But no, I think the thing that most excites me about this is that it's going to be the possibilities for telling the story of an older Batman and sort of, if it does take place after BVS, like now you're back in the game. You've set it out this long. You've locked horns with the Man of Steel. Will you, who is this guy now? What is Batman like now after walking away from it for all these years? You know, and living in adventures in an entirely new world, a world where there are super beings. How does that change him?
And that's an aspect we haven't really seen in the previous Batman films.
Yeah.
There's always the Nolan movies, it was more of a real world setting. And the 1989 and 90
that was unpaved territory then. We hadn't really seen superhero movies. We have a lot of questions. We haven't really seen what we're looking at. You guys at home have a lot of questions too. We have one from Twitter. Let's take a look right now. Robert Peterson. Villain? Question mark?
Oh, wow.
That's a good question. You just hit on this actually. Nolan had a very grounded approach. It was kind of giving
So we see in Suicide Squad this new DC cinematic universe is willing to go deep with the villains and go out there. I mean, Killer Croc, is a human crocodile, right? So, so who would it be? I mean, I kind of would like to see someone new who we haven't seen before.
I'm gonna do my fan casting here. This actor Eddie Marson, who was in He's on, what is it, Jonathan Strange and Dr. Noah,
yeah.
whatever that is. I want him to play Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
And I want the kind of gangster Penguin. The crime boss, sort of the Al Capone, Untouchables version of Penguin.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. You could get Talia al Ghul, right? Who's Damian Wayne's mother.
Yeah.
That's
you really want the Damian Wayne
I do.
story in there.
I really do,
I think
yeah.
that would be interesting, though.
Fun
Give
for the whole
Batman a
Bat
kid.
family. Yeah.
Yes.
I want the whole movie to be kind of presented in real time, and I want it with the Clock King. I want it it'd be like 24, but
It's
it would
gonna
be
like Phone Booth
2.5
or
hours.
Cellular,
Yeah.
one of those movies.
It takes him like an hour to put the bat suit on.
Yeah,
though,
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be grounded in some ways, and
The
impractical
whole movie
in others.
be about Alfred doing his chores around Wayne Manor and going up the stairs with his tray of tea and getting everything prepped.
I love that's the kind of like the later realization is this probably means we're also gonna get a new Alfred.
Well, Jeremy Irons is playing Alfred in Batman.
That's
v
true.
Superman.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting these.
So
There's
and
too many
that's gonna be
superheroes.
awesome.
I'm sorry.
I know there's so many new characters to look forward to, and hopefully this weekend at the Warner Brothers panel, they will confirm this news and maybe give us some more details on it. Maybe say who the villain will be.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't it seem like a no-brainer if you got Jared Leto as your Joker and you've got Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, you're gonna put them in your Batman movie.
It seems like a
Pretty
good, pretty safe bet there.
Even if it's like in a James Bond movie where you open in a prologue and they're fighting somebody else, and then you go to a different.
Which the Avengers
story,
Age of Ultron kind of did. The
Right.
prologue
Yep.
was sort of a Bond.
Well, we're still waiting to see Suicide Squad and BVS, and I love that we're already chomping at the bit for the next thing after that. You guys can follow all along these fun announcements and the cool interviews we're doing at Comic-Con right here, so stay tuned.
IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by the all-new LG G4. See the great, feel the great. And Marvel's Ant-Man, in theaters July 17th.
Experience the world through a new lens. The LG G4. See the great. Feel the great.
Get a leather back cover, extra battery, and battery charging cradle free when you buy the LG G4.
Imagine a soldier the size of an insect. The ultimate secret weapon. I'm the future of war. Really? I'm Ant-Man.
Come on!
On July 17th,
We have to stop him.
a new hero
I got this. Let's fly.
arrives. You can't stop me. You're just an insect.
Oh, that's good. You just come up with that?
Marvel's Ant-Man. Rated PG-13.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ross. We're here at Comic-Con and I am so excited. I'm here with Elijah Wood.
Hello.
You know him from so many different things. Obviously, Lord of the Rings. One of my favorites, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
yeah.
Mind. God, I love that
One
movie.
of my favorites too.
Is it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So good. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Right now, you've got a few other movies, horror movies coming up. Well, Supernatural in The Last Witch Hunter.
Yes.
And then horror comedy with Cooties.
Cooties, yeah.
Which I'm so excited to talk to you about. Let's start with The Last Witch Hunter.
Yeah.
You play the 37th Dolan.
Correct.
Michael Caine is Father Dolan.
Yeah, he plays the 36th. So
Okay, so there's no relationship.
No, not at all. So the
Okay.
way that it works is the Dolans, right?
Yeah.
It's a long line of priests that pass the
I just
torch
gave it
to
a
the
totally
next.
different accent. Go ahead.
Dolan, no, I like it.
Dolan.
It sounds, I don't know, it's fancier. But yeah, I play a priest in a long line of priests that are tasked with protecting the witch hunter and sort
Okay.
of almost servicing his. Vin Diesel plays
Yeah.
Calder, the witch hunter. And so through time, through multiple decades, these Dolans have essentially sort of serviced him and helped him in his pursuit to rid the world of black magic.
And this is sort of, like you do if you're a priest.
Right.
This is sort of him teaming up with a witch, though, in order to stop this plague. So I have to imagine there's a little wiggle room between the good and the evil of it all.
There is, yeah.
And that they're probably going to get together.
The film, the cool thing about the movie is that it presents an alternate reality. This sort of notion that we're surrounded by witchcraft, and we have been for centuries.
Sure.
But it's kept, like the evil part of it is kept at bay, and good witches or witches who aren't nefarious can live amongst us freely, and we're not aware of it.
Yeah.
So there's something kind of cool about that. And Rose Leslie plays one of these witches.
Of Game of Thrones fame.
That's right.
Are you a Thrones fan?
Of course.
Okay. Who are you rooting for?
Who am I rooting for?
Yeah.
I was rooting for Jon Snow, man.
And you still may be.
Well, I'm loving these theories. The notion that he might come back.
He might still be around. We don't know.
This is true. We don't know.
we
just saw blood pour out from his head, but we don't know. We don't know.
Spoiler alert.
We also
if
don't
you're
know what
not
happens to
caught up on
Stannis
Game of
either,
Thrones.
because Stannis was killed off camera.
Seemingly.
Right?
Big spoiler alert.
Guys, you've all seen this by now.
Game of Thrones.
Come on.
This is amazing. Hey, listen, Jon Snow could embody a dragon and come and own the whole world as a dragon. We don't know.
We don't
Anything's
know.
possible.
Anything's possible. George R. Martin's still writing.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening.
Do you get in on the action in this movie? Because this is kind of an action supernatural movie.
It is. Yeah, it's kind of a fantasy action horror movie. More on the fantasy action side of things. Do I get on the action? A little bit.
Okay.
But not much. I'm really more there to sort of do research about the dark magic and to sort of help Vin find the people that he has to beat down.
Okay. Beaten down, helping Vin.
That wasn't very articulate.
No, I mean, I feel like you're kind of maybe like you're the Watson to his very violent Sherlock.
There you go.
That's how I'm
a little
seeing
bit
it.
of Q and Watson rolled into one.
Nice. I want to talk about Cooties because this
Yeah.
one looks like you're producing this one,
Mhm.
yes? This one looks so much fun. First of all, it's this great play on the zombie genre, obviously, but there's something about the Cooties shot and that rhyme from childhood that just stays with you,
It
does it
does.
not? Can you talk about sort of the inception of this idea, how you got involved?
Yeah. So it was an internal idea between myself and my producing partners, Josh Waller and Daniel Noah. It was actually an idea that Josh had. And he had this idea. He was like, what if there was a film set in a school wherein there's a zombie-like virus that only affects kids pre-puberty and turns them into savages? So just sort of taking a spin on the notion of Cooties, because Cooties really is only relevant until you're a teenager, and then it sort of ceases to be relevant.
Is it relevant when you're a teen too, you think?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
'Cause I think at that point you're interested in girls.
At that point, yeah,
'cause
you
that's what
like the opposite sex, right? Yeah.
And that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's like boys and girls and feeling
Yeah,
weird
ew,
about
Cooties.
exactly. But you know, it actually started as head lice.
Oh, really? So
the
it's a real
word-
thing.
The reference to Cooties started in England, I believe, as a reference to head lice.
So is there any reference
anyway.
in the movie? Like, are they zombie lice that bite the kids?
No. So it's a foodborne virus.
Okay.
That comes from bad chicken nuggets. Processed foods.
Yeah.
And
So it's kind of a good message.
Sort of a good message thrown in there. But yeah, these kids turned into savages. And we had this idea, that we wanted to make it like this serious film and take the subject matter very seriously and make a really intense horror film. And it was communicated to Lee Whannell, who created Saw and Insidious. And he loved the idea, and he was like, guys, it's a comedy. It's called Cooties. We're like, oh, yeah, it is. And so he and Ian Brennan, who is co-creator of Glee, wrote the script together for us. Hello!
I thought that might happen.
And crafted this thing that is sort of, I think, equal measures funny and horrific.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm really proud of, and it's a blast.
You are getting a lot of attention right now. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Is this just life for you, or is this life at Comic-Con?
This is
You know,
Comic-Con.
do
I don't
you-
think any old balcony that I stand on do I get that. Like,
Get that yelling?
It's a little
Okay.
specific, I think.
We were talking about this earlier. Obviously, Bryan Cranston did the Bryan Cranston mask to be able
Yes.
to walk around, and you have done this as well, right?
I
Not
have.
a Frodo mask.
Not a Frodo mask. No,
Yeah.
I walked around last year. It took me a long time. I've been coming to this convention for so many years, and every year, I'd sort of tell myself like, I gotta get a costume together so I can walk the floor, because I love walking the floor. And I finally got my shit together last year, and I went and got a Michael Myers mask.
That is so awesome. Are you you're obviously a horror fan. You're producing a horror movie.
No, I love horror films, and a big fan of Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still one of my favorite movies of all time.
They're obviously still yelling Frodo down
Yeah.
there. We put out on Twitter
gonna
that
happen
we
for
were
the
going to
rest of my
have you.
life.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I don't know.
It will.
You do a lot of different things.
I do, but that will, I think, remain.
Okay. Well,
I
let's just
accepted that
say
a long
Eternal
time ago. It's
Sunshine
okay.
of the Spotless Mind.
Thank you. Awesome.
Do you ever think about, we put this out on Twitter, we got a question, this may be a little silly, but obviously these stories have been told, The Hobbit is done. If he ever wanted to return and sort of do original stories in this world, would that be Peter Jackson? Would that be something that would be interesting to you?
No,
Or is it
I don't-
is it like anti?
It's yeah, I think that would be highly
It'd
inappropriate.
be weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also don't think that that would be something that would interest Peter
Yeah.
or Fran or Philippa or any of the writers. Because I mean, obviously, up until now, it's all been drawn from source material.
Yeah.
I mean, even stuff in The Hobbit where they took some liberties, most of the material in those films is drawn from source material of some kind. I wouldn't be interested in playing the character unless it was in relation to something that existed within Tolkien's text.
Yeah.
you know?
Is that sort of the last big franchise series that you want to do? Last Winter might be one. We're here at Comic-Con. You seem a little nerdy to me in a great way.
I am totally nerdy.
Are there any sort of big comic book characters that you want to take on?
Nothing comes to mind, but I mean, as far as being a part of another franchise, I would never say never.
Yeah.
You know? I'm always just simply drawn to interesting material and working with great filmmakers and delving into new experiences. So I'm open to anything. As far as comics are concerned, there's not a huge amount. I mean, Why the Last Man is great.
Oh
I'm
man,
kind of
do
more
it.
drawn-
Do it on TV.
They've been trying to get that made for so long.
But they've been doing it wrong because
It needs to be serialized. It cannot be encapsulated within the context of a movie, which is why also
Preach!
Well, it's also why Preacher, very good segue. It's why Preacher works.
Yes.
On TV.
Yes.
You can't encapsulate that story into a 2-hour movie.
Absolutely
and I also
not.
don't want to see
Or Sandman.
And I don't want to see multiple films.
Yeah.
I would much rather see that whole thing play out
Yeah.
the way that it plays out
in the comic.
Exactly. Which
Absolutely.
is why Walking Dead is perfect for television, not in the context of a film.
Okay, you're producing right now.
Yes.
You have a company.
Right.
You can develop. You don't have the rights, but
I don't.
still, let's make it happen.
The rights have been floating around for
They've
a
been
while.
floating around forever.
They've tried to make that movie many, many times.
Yes. They're telling me we have to wrap,
Oh,
I
man,
think,
what?
which is so sad. I know. I'm having so much fun talking to you. The Last Witch Hunter is coming out in October 23rd.
And the Cooties is coming out September 18th.
Awesome. I can't wait. Cooties
Cooties
you guys,
is a blast, y'all.
You guys,
It's
go
really
check
fun.
out this trailer. Seriously, it's
And
so much fun.
Lee Wanell is kind of a revelation. He actually plays a character in the film, and he's one of the funniest characters in the movie. He blew me away. He's great.
We are looking forward to both movies, but yeah,
Awesome.
definitely go check out that trailer for Cooties. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us today.
What a way to close. Hi, y'all.
Yeah, I thought that might happen. Thank you guys. Keep it locked here to IGN for all things Comic-Con and insanity.
Sorry.
IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by Marvel's Ant-Man, in theaters July 17th, and the all-new LG G4. See the great, feel the great.
Imagine a soldier the size of an insect. The ultimate secret weapon.
I'm the future of war. Really? I'm Ant-Man.
Come on!
On July 17th,
We have to stop him.
a new hero
I got this. Let's fly.
arrives. You can't stop me. You're just an insect.
Oh, that's good. You just come up with that?
Marvel's Ant-Man. Rated PG-13.
Experience the world through a new lens. The LG G4. See the great. Feel the great.
Get a leather back cover, extra battery, and battery charging cradle free when you buy the LG G4.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Comic-Con, brought to you by the all-new LG G4. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Joshua Yale, Scott Snyder, and Greg Capullo. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We had some words with you. You killed Batman, and you replaced him with a new Robo-Batman, who's really Jim Gordon. What the heck, guys?
Scott has a
It's
lot
my
of drugs.
fault. Yeah, yeah.
It's just,
It was just a drunken night. It just became Batman. No, I mean, I think with this arc, I mean, what we're trying to do is explore the idea of would Batman work better if he operated inside the law? If Batman was somebody who was an extension of the things that people put in place to protect themselves in a city like New York or Chicago or Baltimore or Gotham, where they've lost faith in those same sort of mechanisms, because of what happened in Endgame, because of what happened historically in Gotham. So it's a question that we feel is pretty resonant. And then what we tried to reveal in the last issue in 42 is that the story is largely also about Bruce Wayne. It's a big story about sort of what if Batman died and Bruce Wayne came back somehow. So
I was going to ask you that. I was like, is this Clayface or something? Are you guys teasing us at the end of every issue something to do with Bruce Wayne? And the last, this week's obviously very blatant. We actually saw him in the flesh. And is that really him?
Is it really Bruce Wayne that shows up at the end? Yeah, it's absolutely him. You know?
It is him.
And like Scott likes to say, we had to make him sexy to compete with Nightwing, so hence the beard. And so far, the reaction has been great. Girls are like, we just did an interview, and the girls goes, the beard, I'm into the beard. So it's like, yeah.
I mean, if you were like Batman and you've been, having the cowl thing going on, like the first thing you do after you if you didn't want to do that, you'd grow a beard.
Yeah.
Like firemen can only have mustaches because of the breathing apparatus. You want to cut loose.
Yeah, well, when I was writing Nightwing, all I got was more demands for butt shots, shirtless shots, and I was like, this is a serious book. And then I started writing Bruce, and I would make him shirtless or whatever, give a couple butt shots, and nobody said anything. And he can't compete with Nightwing when it comes to the kind of clean-shaven look. And part of it was sort of the idea that the Bruce that we're bringing back, the Bruce of this story, is something you've never seen before in Batman. It really is. His back isn't broken. He doesn't have amnesia. It's not something that that you would guess. We'll reveal it next month. But what you should know going in, it's a dream. It's a dream. Yeah.
It's a scoop.
Yeah, the last page is Jim Gordon waking up and his mustache is right in the camera.
I'm giving you guys a hard time about it, but really I'm enjoying every step of the way, seeing Batman be reinvented. And this week's issue number 42, we got the new Batmobile, which is a bat truck, more like a bat train.
How dare you?
Yeah.
First you kill him and then you make his car a truck.
I know, just ruining the environment.
Yeah. Scott tells me, you get to create a new Batmobile. I go, cool, I get to do another one. And then he goes, but actually it's a bat truck. So I'm going like my Toyota Tundra truck. He just goes, no, like a rig. I'm going, okay, but not with the trailer. No, with the trailer. Maybe like a double trailer. I go, it's like a bat cave on wheels. I'm going, but how does it whip around the city with all? Oh, we'll figure something out. And yeah, the figuring something out is it just takes a vertical plunge in the same issue that we debut it on. So
it comes back. You'll see the Bat Truck will have action.
Okay, well, because it looks like we're in pretty rough shape now. We'll get a redesign. There will be a take two.
There will be a take two. One of the running jokes of the arc is that Jim Gordon never has a Batmobile, but he will have a Batmobile before he gets out of the costume.
Very cool. Very cool.
What kind of references, Greg, do you use when you're drawing a totally invented Bat Truck? Do you draw any from actual technology?
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to have a jumping off point from something that's based in reality in order to make it look convincing. So, yeah, sure. I look at trucks and I look at, let me plug in, futuristic truck and see what pops up. But ultimately, you have to think about how you feel about Batman, how you feel about a Batmobile, and then lay that over a truck design, using those same principles, right? And so, I try to, if you look at the windshield and stuff, there's actually, it looks like the outline of a bat cowl and stuff like that, and what I think about, with the ridges and the shape. So I think about what I feel about Batman and just try and superimpose that on top of a rig and, and smooth out those edges to make it look more sleek and stealth and stuff like that. So it's mostly taken about what you feel about Batman and its character and putting that on a design,
We actually have a question from somebody on Twitter, so let's take a look at that. This could be awful. Let's just find out.
Yeah.
Chris asks, Greg, as a Batman artist, what do you think of Andy Kubert drawing The Dark Knight Returns 3?
Well, I know Andy, from years ago working at Marvel and stuff like that, and I'm good friends with him, and he's a fine artist, and so I feel he's in. It's all in good hands. I'm looking forward to checking it out when it gets put out.
Please.
Well, I would just also say that I'm very good friends with Brian Azzarello, who's working on that project, and having spoken to Frank about the story, it's something that's going to be really special. And I've seen the script for the first script of it, and I would just say go out and pick up Dark Knight 3 because it really is something that I think pays homage to what came before in that series.
What was your reaction when you first heard the news? Or I suppose you guys obviously have some insider information, but when you hear that there's going to be another like sequel to this like seminal work, like a trilogy, especially with Batman and Superman coming out in movie theaters.
Well, for me, it was like, when a girl's got that cold thing going on and she just gets a little protruding. I got very, very excited to hear.
That happened to you?
Yeah, they popped right out. I love Frank Miller.
Good thing you're wearing a sweater.
Yeah, I love Frank Miller, and so and Dark Knight Returns is like my very favorite thing. And it's like if anybody's not read a comic book, it's the first thing I want them to read, and it was the first American comic book I had my son read. And so when I heard Frank Miller was coming out with something again with Batman, honest to God, I said it crudely because I'm a crude guy, but I was so excited to hear it, and I can't wait to see it. I love Frank Miller.
And I mean, there's no way that's not going to be something special,
It is special, and I would say, like, I was involved initially in some of the talking about the story, and what happened was, Brian, who's a very good friend, he's actually helping me and working on the story of Batman 44. We're going to come out with a co-plotted issue of that. Brian was somebody who really went in there to sort of pull the story out of Frank in a way that I feel like would make it both what Frank wants and something that's really classically Dark Knight, and also something a little different that you wouldn't expect. And, having been involved in that initially, I can tell you that what's come out of it is something that I couldn't be prouder of those guys, like both of them. And Andy's going to do a great job, and honestly, it's something that like, I can step back and say my friends made something really great. And, I'm very, very proud of them for that. Cool. And I think it's going to be something good.
Very awesome. I should also mention that Klaus Janson, is that how you say
his
name?
Klaus.
He's the inker. Good for him.
That's always like, Miller and Jansen that's good.
Yeah. So it brings that whole flavor back to it. So.
Yeah. Scott, while you're here, obviously we're at Comic-Con where comics become movies and TV. Witches, which was reported that it was picked up, I believe it was Brad Pitt's Plan B production company, is that right?
That's true.
Because they were interested in making Witches into a movie. Do you have an update on that?
Yeah. They just finished the first draft of the first screenplay. The guy who's doing it, Sergio, is wonderful. He's like, I'm a big fan of his work. He's done some great horror stuff. And Jock and I just received photos from him where he was like, I finished the script, here's the script, he showed it to us, and it's great, I love it. And he was like, I'm on vacation in South America with my family, and look, I found the burrow, and it was like him spelunking in these caves, and I was like,
wow.
So
don't do that.
Yeah, no, I know. I was like,
know what
don't
this is
die.
about?
Yeah,
Can you read the
exactly.
comic?
Right, don't die. But so it's going great. We're really thrilled, and they've made us a part of the process. My stipulation with Jock was like, when we were talking to them joking around, I was like, our one demand is that we get to be in the movie and we play bumbling cops together. And they were like, they took it very seriously. I didn't realize like they would think that we were being very.
That's a pretty fair demand, though. That's like kind of
a Scott has a thing for cops because he's been begging me for the longest time to make him a cop somewhere in the scene. I've made myself a cop in the comic book, and I haven't done it for you yet. I promise.
All right.
At some point.
You heard it on IGN TV. Like at some point, I will be a cop.
You will, yes.
All right.
You get punched.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been great taking a chance to chat. And on that note,
thank you so much for coming.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yeah, and we've got a lot more stuff coming up right here from Comic-Con, so stay tuned. right
now.
now.
I'm really smiling. I have a big smile on my face. I love Amiibo. These are new Amiibo that aren't out yet. We're actually getting to see some right in front of me for the very first time. How, when?
Okay, hold on. That's sort of a question. If you guys at home have questions, shoot them to us on Twitter. We're at IGN on there. We're using the hashtag IGN Live. So we'll keep an eye on that. Try to answer your questions as much as we can. Now, Brian, if you can form that into a sentence.
Okay, when do I get all the Amiibo?
The best. The best way. Let's just first of all, I gotta say we've got a variety of Amiibos. Might be easier to go one by one.
Yeah, sure.
Since they're not all coming out on the same day. You're not, unless you just want to take them here.
No, I will take them. Don't
You
worry.
will have a problem getting him out of here without.
You'll have a problem leaving with those in your bag.
I'll let you give the first one kind of a sneak peek here. This is a Super Mario Brothers 30th anniversary Amiibo. This one is one that we announced at E3. It'll be coming out the same day as Super Mario Maker, which is the 11th of September.
Yeah.
And as you can kind of see here, it's kind of that 8-bit style, but fully 3D. And it's got Mario's original look from Super Mario Brothers. He's actually got the brown shirt, which his more modern look, actually, he's got the blue and the red, right? Not the brown and the red.
Sure, this is his kind of classic
This
NES
is the
look here.
classic color, and there's actually going to be 2 different 30th anniversary Mario Amiibo figures. So this is, of course, the classic color, and then we've got that modern color as well.
I'm noticing he's just large enough for me to not be able to steal without all of you noticing.
He is. He doesn't fit in the pocket as well either.
That was
so that's
an intentional design decision.
He is one of the bigger Amiibo though, right?
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is actually that pipe as the base, right? A lot of the other Super Smash Brothers figures, or a lot of the other figures have that base where he's got that custom green pipe base that's just really fun and distinctive.
So there will be 2 of these, right?
There are 2 versions. So again, the classic color and the more modern color, where it's the same design, the same physical design. It's just the blue and red.
Do you have any insight on which one will be harder to find?
Not at this time, but they both have the same functionality. Again, this Amiibo will come out the same day as Super Mario Maker.
Okay, cool.
Which comes out again 11th of September, and the functionality in that game lets you become like a big. Tapping the Amiibo to the gamepad will make this big mushroom appear into the course, and then you can turn into what's called Big Mario, which isn't Mega Mario, it's Big Mario, which is still, he looks small, he's just giant, and then the TV becomes like retro colors. We're seeing some footage here of just Mario gameplay, Super Mario Maker gameplay, and the enemies using the Super Mario Maker Amiibo will also turn like Mario-ified, so you'll get like a mustache on a Koopa Troopa or something like that. Like,
wow. So now this game obviously has a ton of Amiibo functionality. You can scan in most of the Smash Brothers characters and a bunch of others to play as the sprite versions of those characters in this game. This specific Mario Amiibo, the 8-bit one we were just showing off, does this work the same as say all the other Mario Amiibos? Will you be able to scan those in? Is this sort of like, or does this have its own special functionality?
So in Super Mario Maker, it is a specific functionality.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the game, players can always go to Amiibo.com. That's kind of the best place to go. We've got a compatibility chart there. So if you want to know, like, for example, we'll talk about Yarn Yoshi in a moment, but like Yarn Yoshi still works in Mario Kart 8, just like he works in, not just like he works, but like he works as a normal Yoshi in Mario Kart 8. So.
Just infinitely more adorable in reality.
Well, don't tell the other Yoshi that, but.
So speaking of which, I'm just going to grab this one right here because this is just one of probably the single cutest thing Nintendo has ever made.
Which is saying something.
Which is saying something. So we've got there's the set of these 3 different Yarn Yoshis here, right? And they've got these great little feet and this big fat. They're just so cute. I just love it so much. I love it so much. So what's up with these? When will we? When can we get these?
So Yoshi's Woolly World will be coming out October this year. Players will be able to get their hands on 3 different Yarn Yoshi Amiibo figures. So you've got the pink, the light blue, and of course the iconic green Yarn Yoshi. And I love it because like even we were talking about the base on the Super Mario Maker figure, but I mean the base is actually kind of in his butt, right? Like there's no base. It's you tap
I love that
Mario
you sort of
down.
whispered butt, like he's talking about.
I know we were just talking about like we're just talking about lucky we're just talking about lucky underwear now.
I know. So now there's 3 different colors of these. They all sort of function the exact same way inside this game.
They will, and so we're seeing right now on the game. We're saying the multiplayer mode, but if you're not playing with a buddy, there is a great co-op mode. But if you're not playing with a buddy, you can tap in a Yarn Yoshi amiibo, and you'll get kind of like double Yoshi, and so you actually will get to play using 2 Yoshis, what we're seeing right here, and that's going to help you get through levels a little bit easier without maybe you don't have a friend at the exact moment to play with you. So,
Sure.
We actually are seeing some other amiibo figures being tapped right now as well. So like tapping a Mario amiibo will give you like a Mario design for one of the Yoshis, and we saw Samus here.
And there's tons of these, right? And it's even like characters like Ness, and I mean, how many? Do you know exactly how many are in the game?
There is a large number, and I certainly don't know the full final number off the top of my head. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of like just kind of surprising things that you wouldn't even think of as designs in the game as well. But yeah, just kind of cool designs of.
So that Shy Guy, I get that he's supposed to be sort of encased in ice there, but with the whole kind of arts and crafts aesthetic, it looks like he's suffocating in a plastic bag.
I mean, technically every amiibo is suffocating in a plastic box, and that's why you must free them. You have to open them up.
Free them from the plastic
is
bags.
that what you do?
This is what I do. I open them up because I'm a different kind of adult than other adults that have to keep them. I'm less of an adult. I'm more of a child.
No, I like
kind of
that.
adult.
That's
right.
key.
So next we have Chibi Robo in his awesome, very relaxed pose.
I'm gonna give you that.
It's the first time I've gotten to hold one of these. Now this is I'm a big amiibo guy. Obviously, they change the bases a lot depending on style. So we saw the Mario Party line or the Mario line, and then we saw the Smash Brothers line, and then obviously the Mario here. This guy's got a different base. It's kind of more of a, what color is that? Kind of like a deep orange.
It's like a
maroon.
terracotta. Gosh, yeah,
terracotta.
I don't know.
It does look like he's sitting at the top of a little terracotta plant, and there's grass in here, and he's got his big plug.
He's got his plug on his head.
Yeah.
We got the. And he's actually, I think what's really cool about this is it's probably the closest we have to a life-sized amiibo.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. That's
so
true.
if Chibi Robo was here with us right now, this would be roughly his size.
And we'd probably be screaming.
He'd be picking up all of our trash.
So as we talked about in our, we did a Chibi Robo demo earlier on the show. This character, you won't be able to buy this amiibo separately. You'll have to get it with the game bundle, correct?
You'll have to get it with the game. And then in the game, as we showed earlier in the segment, we were able to see that you turn into Super Chibi Robo. There's some kind of cool unlockables you can get as well in the game. So yeah, that is one of my absolute must-have amiibo figures.
He's great. Yeah, I just love how cool and calm
I mean,
and
you're
relaxed
talking
he
about
looks.
how cute Yoshi is. It's
Yeah.
like the cutest thing we've ever done. Like, I don't know, like Chibi Robo
Chibi's
could,
up
like,
there, man.
fight.
Yeah,
Yoshi
this is a
in
good
duel.
cute competition we got.
Right.
Probably harder to stain the Chibi Robo though.
Yep.
That's one thing I'm concerned about.
He's
is
really
that
shiny.
You're gonna get some. There are gonna be some stained Yoshis out there. People are gonna get their little snacky hands.
Their
on
dirty
there.
hands,
Yeah.
Cheeto fingers. So next up we have Amiibo cards, which is a brand new form for Amiibo, right?
Yep.
Now
I'll actually
these
give you these.
are.
Haven't
Ooh,
you
wow.
done enough?
Yeah, well, no, apparently not.
Well, yeah.
Now I'm holding these for the very first time. They don't feel like playing cards. They actually they're pretty thick. They have a good sort of girth.
It's like a-
weight.
it's like a
What
bus
is that?
pass.
What is the word?
Yeah.
But they've also got a good
gloss
shimmer
to
to
them,
them.
right?
I
Yeah.
don't know
These are
if you
really
can catch
good.
that.
If you, yeah.
Oh my
There
goodness.
we
there you go.
Yeah, they got a nice sprinkle going on there. A good spark.
It's like your sister's pencil case.
Now this is Isabel 12 out of 20. This is Rasher 4 out of 7. How many of these things are there?
So we Animal Crossing, of course, the Amiibo cards are a brand new form of Amiibo that are launching alongside Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer coming in September. And the cards, Series 1 will have 100 cards that is going to be launching at the same time as the game.
Wow.
So you're actually seeing some cool information on there as well. You've got like birthdays and the names of the characters as well, and then using them, tapping them in, you're going to be able to.
It's good to remember the birthdays of animals in a video game, as opposed to I don't even do that for my real life friends.
Now, lastly, we have the first new actual physical line of Animal Crossing figurine amiibos, and I love these because they have a brand new base. They're standing on that adorable grass pattern that you see in every Animal Crossing game, and you know this is the one that really worries me, and I'll tell you why. There are so many Animal Crossing characters, so if I open this door, I might never be able to close it. So here we've got Isabel, right? And she's just a wonderful, awesome character that lives in the game. And over here we've got KK Slider.
Yep.
He is the sort of hippie jam band coffee shop guy. He plays hundreds of different songs. I love this little dog. I don't know who trained a dog to play guitar and sit in a tree stump, but it's adorable. Look at his little butt. Look at that animal butt. I'm doing this right here live on IGN. This is hard-hitting video game journalism. So how many of these things are there going to be? Because there's so many Animal Crossing characters.
We announced, gosh, how many was it for? So the Animal Crossing Amiibo figures are going to work with Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, which is a game we announced around E3. And that is a game where you're going to get to play kind of this board game experience with the actual, as the Animal Crossing characters. Okay. So if you tapped in a KK Slider, you're playing as KK Slider in the game. It's kind of cool because you get to play Animal Crossing together with friends.
Cool.
We haven't announced, there won't be as many as you see with the cards, right? The cards give us that ability to
just make dozens.
Make many different, Amiibo cards. So you don't have to maybe worry about, oh my God, I'm going to have like 400 Amiibo figures. So we might save you all a little bit there.
He'll get there.
Yeah, just if you want, you can just take my wallet on the way out because it's the same thing.
Well, that is awesome. The Amiibo, they cannot be stopped. I pity Brian's checkbook. This is
nice.
Rough. On that note, we're going to be doing lots more Comic-Con stuff from Comic-Con, live, IGN. I'm Max Scoville. Brian, Corey, thank you so much for showing stuff off. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. I'm Damon, this is Roth, and it's time to talk about a new show coming to NBC this fall called The Player. It stars Wesley Snipes and Philip Winchester.
Hey. Very exciting.
This show, I saw the pilot, and it is so much fun. So I don't know how much we want to say about the premise. So the premise is essentially there is this very elaborate, high-stakes game.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the roles that each of you play in these elaborate games?
Well, we should finish. It's a high-stakes game being created by a virtual gambling house.
Yes.
That is controlled by a cabal of internationally uber-wealthy people, individuals.
Well, that's what high-stakes games are controlled by, as far as I know.
Yes. Oh, you're talking politics.
No.
Not on IGN.
Not on IGN, which stands for
the International
Gambling
Network, which is that's what it stands for now. IGN is going to be in the show, and it's going to stand for. Yeah.
Tying into the show, there's some really good you obviously have been on a very notable action series, Strike Back. You are a martial artist. Both of these things come together. Talk a little bit about how sort of the action on this series weighs up against Strike Back. Are we going to see you get to fight a little bit more? I think I just spoiled that we do a little bit in the pilot.
Well, our goal is to have very dramatic action, dynamic action, and some big action, the kind of action that you would normally see on a feature film. And then we bring it to every week to the small screen. That's the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal.
And he's pretty athletic. I've been known to do a couple of things here and there.
You have, haven't you? A few things in the past.
Between the two of us and the other characters, it should be action-packed. But not just action. We're going to have great characters, great plot twists, great structure to the show that will engage those who are not particularly action fans as well.
It's sort of set up a little bit to kind of have a, and I don't know how much we want to say, but it's set up to sort of have a case of the week element to it. But then there's a big overarching mystery that's set up in that pilot. What do you think that the balance between that? Have you shot beyond the pilot yet?
Well, no, we just did the pilot, and talking with John Rogers, the guy who wrote the pilot and is doing the show running on the show. He wants this thing to be a show that you can plug into once a week and get an absolute, feast from. 45 minutes of action that matters, good drama, and things like that. But if you pay attention to every episode, you're going to pick up the breadcrumbs and kind of get your, you'll get your clues ticked off, and you go, oh, that's what we want. I'm going to put that in for later. I'm going to put that in my bag for later. So it's a show that you get rewarded for watching constantly because there will be hidden things in it. But and like Wesley was saying earlier, the action's got to, it can't just be mindless action. It can't be robots punching robots. I mean, this stuff has to matter. So the drama has to be there, and the writing, and that the relationship has to be there with all the lead characters. And they've done that in this. We've been really fortunate with that. The writing's really strong.
Your character has these very particular mannerisms, so it almost makes me think that it's kind of a mask, you know what I mean? Because then at another point, he almost plays a character within a character. You play a character within a character. Are we going to see more of that? Like, is he going to kind of have different...
Actually, it's going to be a character within a character within a character.
Acting.
Which is 3 characters.
Yes.
A total of 3.
That's the studio approach to television, is what our plan is. Yes.
I have to ask you, but we're here at Comic-Con, so I read earlier today that you said that you had had some conversations with Marvel about Blade and possibly bringing that character back to life.
Fast,
that happened so
That was literally as we were walking over
literally,
here.
It was, you were there and I was here and I read it.
We are living in the future.
Well, now I'm asking you about
I can break the story right now.
Here it is.
Great.
You're ready?
Live,
I can break it right now. Marvel and I, Wesley Snipes, have decided to have further conversations about doing another Blade.
Are you having further conversations?
It's a topic of conversation. It's unescapable.
Yeah.
But they have their agenda and we have ours, and we're both moving in an accelerated pace to create magic. So we'll see if it all matches up. There's a strong possibility, but if not, we have another project that's going to rock them.
What's that?
Stand toe to toe to Blade.
It's interesting. Are there any other characters that you would like to play that are comic book characters that you'd like to tell me about?
That's good.
Yes, there are, but we're gonna leave that until we have our next IGN meeting. We'll talk about that a little later.
Speaking of other characters that you played, we actually have a question from one of our viewers on Twitter. If we can bring that up.
Hey,
IGN superfan Brian
How you doing,
Altano
Brian?
asks, please ask Wesley Snipes to make Demolition Man 2. It can be in the future or in dinosaur times. Please put this on your show. Big fan.
Yo, but I would do Demolition Man 2, but all of the guys in the football game, they took my hairdo. So between football and sports, man, my whole head, the whole blonde hairdo thing.
It was pretty awesome. Just
not new anymore.
The room before this, we were in the Samsung room.
Yeah.
And they have the Oculus Ridge kind of looking device that you put on, and Wesley was in this virtual reality rig.
Yeah.
It was straight out of Demolition Man. So it's funny that Brian just wrote that question.
Yeah. We're gonna make
Dude,
that
that's
blonde
so random.
too. A blonde mohawk on my Oculus glasses.
So good.
That is
That's what I'm talking
amazing.
about.
Talk a little bit about working. Are you excited about sort of playing a character over a long period of time in television? You've been on television, obviously, but you've not been in network television where it's 22
I'm very
episodes.
excited about it. It gives
Now that
you
you're
a
going to play
chance
3
to-
characters.
Well, yeah. And more, and more. But it gives you a chance to really stretch and test and flex your muscles as an actor. And you got to have your technique down. You got to make characters that are believable, and you got to create them quickly and turn around quickly. So it's like repertory theater again, and I'm looking forward to that.
How about Strike Back? Obviously, this is its final season. Did you guys feel as a team an extra pressure to kind of I don't know how you up the ante. Have you seen it?
I
have. We started the season in Bangkok, which upped the ante just because of the heat and the locations, and Bangkok became this other character in the show. And it was, it was our final season. We had an injury in the cast that prevented us from finishing the season right away. So we came back 6 months later, and I think in those 6 months they were able to really hone the scripts and get them to a place they wanted. And I literally think they got to this point they were like, well, fuck it, let's throw everything we can at it. And that's what happened at the end of Strike Back. I mean, we ended up in season, episodes 9 and 10. It is just something. It's kind of the reward for the audience for sticking with us for 4 years. We wanted to give them everything back in the relationship with Scott and Stonebridge, and the action, the drama, everything that we wanted to get in there, we got in there. So we're happy with it.
There's so much possibility on television these days. This is a very high concept series, obviously. I'm going to bring it back one more time to...
Right.
Daredevil was a big success on Netflix. Blade is a thing that people think would work really well on Netflix. Do you think that would work really well on Netflix? Look at her dig for it.
You mean Blade on Netflix without Wesley?
No, with Wesley.
It'll never work.
With Wesley. I mean, you're open to television now.
I can't see that working at all.
Me neither. I don't know.
Can you?
I don't know what they're talking about, Wesley.
Definitely if they put it on after the player. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
That we are about out of time, gentlemen, but I do want to point out, I don't know if you noticed this, Wesley, we have matched our entire set to your shirt. I don't know if you can...
Holla at your boy.
Yeah, there you go. Did that for you.
Holla.
The Player is coming to NBC this fall.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Thursday nights.
I've
September 24th.
seen the pilot. We talked about it. It really is fun. I've been a little hesitant to say too much about it because there's some mysteries to dig into, even about who you guys are playing in the Player.
It's true.
Like the Player.
It's true. Yeah. It's that's I think John's wish was kind of it was answered in kind of the construction of the pilot. It works on a lot of levels, and I think the audience can sit down and go, okay, this is what we're in for. Well, let's go. Let's do it.
And I think the show will be engaging. You, as an audience, will be able to sit there and try to figure it out, and you won't see the twists and the turns, and that is interactive and kind of fun for a fan,
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by the
thanks a lot
show.
for having
I think
us.
there's
We gotta
some
go? You
sushi
kicking
in
us
your
out?
near future. I think
Yes, there's some
something.
Nobu happening.
The Player on NBC this fall.
IGN, I get no more.
Stay tuned. We still have more to come from Comic-Con here live at IGN.
IGN, ingesting...
Delicious.
And Zeb Wells. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about Super Mansion.
Super Mansion, which, obviously, Matt, Zeb, you've worked together on Robot Chicken. Now you've got Super Mansion. Talk about this new stop-motion show. What was the creation of this? How did this come about?
I pestered Zeb in the sense of, we've done everything from making fun of other properties, whether it be on Robot Chicken with like Star Wars and DC Comics. I said, why don't you create your own universe? And harassed him for weeks and months until he actually did something with that.
Yeah, we've had so much fun on Robot Chicken making fun of other larger-than-life characters, so we just decided to make our own to make fun of.
Well, Brian, I love, obviously you're coming off of this epic run on Breaking Bad. What will be your next ongoing series role? It's Superman shit. Can you talk about that? What drew
Where do we
you?
go from here to here? That's really what happened.
My character is diminished to about 8 inches.
Right.
So there's no pun intended on that, but there's some truth behind it. It's like, oh? This is my character, Titanium Rex, in
Yes.
Supermansion. And he is a guy very proud, but perhaps not as potent as he used to be in crime fighting, and he wants to stay relevant. And they all these superheroes live in the same mansion together, and they continue to want to serve their country and fight crime and all that good stuff. And yet they have to be roommates at the same time. And that's not always an easy thing, especially for superheroes.
So for that, first of all, getting to play a superhero has to be fun, and then getting to play a sort of skewed superhero, was that just very appealing when you heard about this character?
A skewed superhero.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're already judging my guy.
I'm not saying skewed is a bad thing. It's just different. Come on, Titanium Rex.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be able to play flawed characters.
Yeah.
Because they're the most interesting to play. Nobody cares if these guys were all terrific and efficient and wonderful. Nobody cares. So each one of these characters has a specific, some
specific flaws. Yeah.
And it's created by flawed men themselves.
Of course, yeah.
And that's very apparent.
So everyone's familiar with the millionaire whose parents were killed and becomes a Dark Avenger.
I've heard something like that.
Yeah, something like that. We wanted to ask, well, what would that character be like if his parents were never killed? And the answer was he's a massive tool. So.
That's the level of ingenuity that we've used. So we've copied others who went before us and just stolen all their best aspects of it, and then we created a show.
Just call it a remix.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's talk about Titanium Rex here, guys. Coming up with this character, working with Brian. I sense there's a cape, there's a certain symbol. Might we be reminded of anyone with this character?
Once again, we stole a couple of
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of that what if kind of question of, if you have the all-powerful superhero and he's now, looking to retire, what is that person, looking to retire and leave it to? The generation of today is not like the generation of past. Let's put it that way.
Boy, that's so wise, isn't he?
Yes.
He's a
I am
sage.
the generation of today, which doesn't make it any better. So.
No, you're no longer a generation of today.
Yeah, don't give yourself too much credit there.
We have on screen, we're not seeing it, but you at home are seeing right now, we are debuting the poster to Supermansion.
Oh, I want to see it.
I know.
Nice, huh?
I'll hook you up later.
Like that?
See it.
That's great.
But yeah, talk about the characters and the dynamic of them all living together, and what does Titanium Rex make of his housemates?
Yeah, well, growing up reading comics like the Avengers or JLA, where all these heroes had a base that they all seemed to hang out in, we wanted to, like we do in Robot Chicken, we want to see what the mundane reality of that is. So a lot of the episodes are about just what goes on when all these larger-than-life characters have to live together. And Rex is probably the smartest hero there, and everyone else is a bit of an idiot. So he's constantly.
Thank you very much.
Well,
he doesn't mean
I have
that.
to say that.
But yeah, it's taking those archetypes. It's like if Batman and Joker are fighting 1,000 times. That 1,000th time, they're not talking about how much they hate each other. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more, mundane conversation that's happening between them. And how much they don't like each other's, outfits, or how much they smell bad, or every time they fight, the way in which they get in those arguments. That was a terrible explanation.
So
hopefully I did it
we
right.
explore how superheroes would handle an excessive cable bill, for example.
Yes.
Or the routine visit to the grocery store. How do superheroes deal with that?
Someone leaves a bunch of dishes in the sink.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
Who's our very patriotic-looking hero?
This is
here?
American Ranger.
Okay.
He was, trapped in a time tunnel for a long time and is just grasping with the fact that he's gotten out. It's very different than the 40s now.
So his politics are stuck in the 40s. We like to say that he's not a racist, but he does need a little time to adjust.
Yeah, gay marriage is legal now, and he's learning about that.
Right.
We have Obama as president. He's learning about that. Yeah.
And there's a fun episode where his sidekick his sidekick, who hasn't seen in 50 years, comes over for dinner with his boyfriend, and American Ranger has to deal with that. Yeah.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Yeah.
Exactly. Can you talk about some of the other voice cast, Brian? Who are you getting to work with here?
Well, we're talking about American Ranger. Keegan-Michael Key is a fantastic comedic actor.
Amazing. Yeah.
And he does that as well as others. I only do really one voice. This guy, the irascible guy, who's got his panties in a twist. Actually, and we also do a thing where, how nice and fit he is here.
Yes.
But when he takes off his super, outfit here, everything seems to go south.
Right.
So he wears a girdle that brings everything up.
Some restraints.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that personally. But
I like how it's always a reflection on you personally.
Yeah, everything is.
I'm learning this more and more.
You're a multitasker, Zeb. You're also voicing some characters on this show, too.
That's right.
Can you talk about your characters?
Yeah, I voice a character called Robobot, who learns that the woman who designed him was a Jewish woman. So by the laws of the Torah, he decides he is a Jewish robot.
Nice.
So calls himself Jewbot, and obviously he has a Jewish advisor who doesn't love that name, and so it's kind of about it's kind of that robot who's trying to figure out what it means to be self-aware, to be human, and so he goes on a journey during the season of trying out different identities.
There's a lot of cultural learning here.
Cultural learning.
All right, so when and where are we going to be able to watch Super Mansion?
You'll be able to watch it on Crackle. I think it's debuting in November. I think.
In the fall, yeah.
Yes, in the fall, yeah. So, but yeah, on Crackle. So it's the new
which
place
is
here,
which is
awesome.
everywhere.
Yes.
Is this going to be like weekly episodes, or is it going to be like Netflix? Just throw them all up at once.
It's going to be all up at once.
Okay,
yeah.
like
so you're going to be able to just tune in and watch the 13 episodes.
All right, I look forward to binge watching them all. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming by
Thank
the
you
show.
very
Thanks
much.
very much.
Appreciate
See you.
it.
Stay tuned. Much more to come from IGN Live at Comic-Con right after these messages. And we're back, IGN Live from Comic-Con, presented by the all-new LG G4. We are nearing the end of our day one coverage from Comic-Con, and maybe the biggest news of the day was that standalone Batman movie directed and co-written by Ben Affleck.
Yes, and co-written by Jeff Johns, which is another curveball. It was kind of a slow day, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was a fun day. We got a lot of cool stuff, but nothing like earth-shattering. Then this comes in like the 11th hour.
I had a fun day, but yes, this would probably be the biggest piece of news coming out of the con. I mean, we knew that he was likely going to direct, which makes so much sense, and that had been talked about a couple of weeks ago. He's a great director. Yeah, he's really good. But Jeff Johns, that's the part that I find to be a little bit of a curveball. What about you guys? I mean, it makes sense.
Remind us who Jeff Johns is.
Jeff Johns is the CCO of DC Comics. He also writes a lot of comic books. That's how he got his start. Like Green Lantern, he's written Batman Earth 1 graphic novels, which pretty much are Batman movies by themselves. Probably gonna go read those after this just to get like a little more context to what he might do with the movie. Even though it's a very
writer.
Yes, phenomenal writer.
Yeah.
He'll be on the show tomorrow, so we'll talk to him, ask him some questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely big news. And it's worth saying this was like like a scoop from Deadline. It wasn't
Right.
officially confirmed by Warner Brothers, but their panel is on Saturday. Maybe they'll confirm then.
But this will be, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joshua, I think this will be Jeff Johns' first movie, right? Am I wrong?
As a co-writer, I believe so. Because he had a big part in Green Lantern,
Yeah.
but I don't think he was co-writer.
Yeah, as a co-writer. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. Co-writer with the star who is also directing, and he's a great writer. Guess a little bit with me about what kind of storylines they may be drawing on for this Batman, because you would think with an older Batman, it's going to be very obviously.
You go right to Frank Miller. And
You
the
go
Dark
right to
Knight.
Frank Miller, right?
Absolutely, yeah. But I don't know that they're going to do that necessarily. It seems like some of that territory is also being covered in Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a central part of that 4-issue miniseries.
Yeah, The Dark Knight Returns. Also,
Right.
speaking of The Dark Knight Returns, while we're doing a day one wrap-up, let me mention that they announced the artists for that, the threequel to that. It's The Dark Knight Returns 3, The Master Race, co-written by Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello. They announced today that Klaus Johnson will be inking it, and that Andy Kubert will be drawing it, which are like comics legends. So to have them
Absolutely.
all in that book gives me chills.
That is awesome. I'm going to force you back to Batman the movie and have you guess with me, because Jeff Johns has written some Batman stories, and you think that maybe they'll be sort of taking storylines from there, but this is a younger Batman.
Yeah, he wrote like sort of Batman Year One, his version of Batman Begins, sort of. So, but again, Ben Affleck he's been Batman for a long time. We saw his armor on the show floor; it's all scuffed up and marked up. His chipped blades. So it's like, I don't know. How do you tell a story about that by looking at his stories? I don't know, but the possibilities are endless. But I have a lot of faith in him.
Absolutely.
Great writer. Can't wait to see what he does with it.
I think this is such an amazing team up. Great writer, great director. Thoughts? Yay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said, Ben Affleck's a great director. It seems to have that legitimacy of Jeff Johns attached to it as well. So I'm super excited about that.
I wonder, where does this fit into their slate? Because they have Batman vs. Superman, they have Suicide Squad, Justice League. Ben Affleck is directing another movie, Live by Night.
And this would
before
be
that
after
too.
that, yeah.
So is this like a 2020 movie? When is this going to be out?
What was the date? Somebody look that
That's
up
the thing.
on the internet.
It might go after the initial 10 movies that they announced, but I hope something doesn't get pushed. But we've seen Marvel do that. They pushed everything for Spider-Man. I can see DC pushing everything for Batman, but they better not touch the Green Lantern movie. Don't touch Green Lantern movie.
Don't touch. So I'm going to swing us
Make
to
it fast,
Marvel.
make it fast. We're out of time.
Marvel really quickly. So just a really, very vaguely, Wesley Snipes, who was just with us, said that he is in talks with Marvel about rebooting Blade. I tried to get him a little bit to talk about would that be a thing that would work on Netflix. He didn't bite.
We also tried to give him
He's a
something
pretty
about
good
Demolition
bite.
Man 2, but he wouldn't bite at that.
He wouldn't bite at that either.
That's about a wrap for us for day one here from Comic-Con. To end things, Naomi is going to give us a behind-the-scenes look at Comic-Con brought to you by LG. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
What's up, IGN audience? We made it through day one of San Diego Comic-Con 2015 and captured a bunch of behind the scenes of Comic-Con and IGN Live with the all-new LG G4. We saw a few awesome things, put it together in a slideshow, so be sure to check it out, presenting San Diego Comic-Con day one, IGN style. IGN Live at Comic-Con is presented by the all-new LG G4. See the great,